So I'll count it off.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3.
Just let's go.
1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the rehearsal room. Nick here.
Aaron's here.
We are going to talk about something that I think involves a lot of folks that hopefully tune into this show.
Sure.
And that is the, I don't know how we would want to phrase this, but it's Record Store Day.
Yeah.
Vinyl culture, vinyl collecting, selling, and buying is something that both Aaron and I are participants of.
Sure.
Record Store Day, I think, people are aware of at this point.
Oh,
anymore.
yeah. In fact, it just passed, right?
It just passed. The 3rd April
Yeah.
of every year is Record Store Day, and then they have
And then Black Friday in November.
the Black Friday in November, which is the secondary, so it's biannual. But do you want to?
Yeah, just real quick, just to kind of set the table, where it all, like as Nick said, it's a semi-annual event, started in 2008. The idea was to celebrate independent record stores and try to draw people into record stores as sales were dwindling for records, ultimately.
For vinyl.
Especially for
LPs.
vinyl, yes. I mean, more importantly, digital was starting to come in. CD sales were starting to dip for a little bit. So it was like, how do we get people back into record stores? So let's make a day of it, which was actually inspired by Comic Book Day.
Yeah, Free Comic Book Day, which, ironically enough, is today.
Oh, interesting. As we record. Okay.
We record.
And yeah, that was something I did not know. I thought
Yeah.
one kind of begat the other. As a person who's not a comic book guy, I had no idea that I would have just assumed that one was it was the other way around.
Right.
So that's kind of neat. Kind of taking inspiration from that. Obviously started here in the U.S. now pretty much international.
International, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pitches as I read is pitches an idea. As I said, from the Free Comic Book Day. By record store Bull Moose Music. It's an independent record store chain, ultimately, owned by a guy named Chris Brown and Criminal Records' Eric Levine. The concept was to create, kind of a meeting of independent record store owners from all over the place, a big list of names of people who, who's who of who.
Yeah.
Essentially got together and said, look, how can we celebrate the idea of vinyl, celebrate the idea of record stores, and let's be honest, put some coin in our pocket, kind of get people back into the stores. Officially began April 19th of 2008 at Rasputin in Mountain View, California, with a tiny local band that kicked it off called Metallica.
Yeah. It's a small independent band.
How they ever got him, I'll never know. But it was, started off with a bang. And it is nice to see even a band as big as Metallica, to a degree, to say, yeah, we want to get people back in record stores too. And
Sure.
it matters to them. I imagine, their age probably dictates some of it too. They remember what it was like to go into record stores, discover music, The first year had about 10, this will sound, wow, show you how tiny it started, 10 special releases. 10.
Wow.
The artists that they listed were like Death Cab for Cutie, REM, Vampire Weekend. About 300 stores did it for the first year.
Yeah.
To show you how quickly it moved up, the very next year had 85 special releases and 500 artist appearances, including Tom Waits, Bob Dylan, the Almighty Slayer, and 1,000 record stores took place, including countries like Japan, Canada. This is when it went international. So very popular the first year, and so popular that the next year it practically doubled, if not quadrupled, in its popularity and its participation, and certainly in its amount of suddenly we need more records to be sold on exclusively on that day. That went up.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was interesting, every year since 2009, technically they've had it every year, but 2009 they officially called them ambassadors for Record Store Day, which I didn't write down everybody, but there some interesting people, to say the least. The late great Ozzy Osbourne, Josh Homme from Queen's Stone Age, Caius, Iggy Pop,
Iggy Pop,
Jack White, Chuck D, Taylor Swift, Run the Jewels, And I assume because you're contractually obligated, David Grohl. He had to
Twice.
be twice. Well,
with Foo Fighters
again.
and David Grohl.
again, I assume that's a contractually obligated. I think that's
Let's see how many people we can annoy.
yeah. You have to have if it has the word rock or roll in it.
Yeah, he's
Dave
gonna-
Grohl has to be a part.
He's
of
going
it
to
at
elbow
some
his
point.
way in and
Yes.
talk about Scream.
Right,
And
there's nothing you can do about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Sorry, everybody. But yeah, just some back history, kind of an idea of what it is, and again, one of those things. I think it starts off with a lot of good intention, and but as we've seen over the years, things can kind of get in the way that take away from the initial spirit of it all.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I do think you're right. It maybe the intention, the idea of Record Store Day is a good one.
Yeah.
Because, you frequent independent record shops.
Absolutely. And
Um,
I think one thing you see online all the time from people, and I get it, these are people who hate fun, but every day's Record Store Day.
Right,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Well, I guess every day's the 4th of July. Every day's Christmas. Yeah, motherfucker. It's that we all celebrate it on one day.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
idea of a collective, the idea that we all come out for this one day to say, we love to buy vinyl, we like to go to the record store, I think is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, how it's been pimped out, how it's been, fucked over. We'll get into that. But to say the idea of that, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great thing, and especially if its intention was all along about the independent record store, which
That's where
I think most at this point most are to a degree. We don't have. I mean, I understand there are chains, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the big ones are gone. There's no Sam Goodies.
there's no Music Plus, no Tower.
There it is. They're
Virgin
all the
is-
real biggies are all gone. So technically, they're all independent to a degree.
There's a slight irony there
Yeah.
also in that the people being targeted to participate in all this are independent stores.
Yes.
The majority of the product
Right.
is all big label stuff, which normally would have sold at Tower,
Sure.
Sam Goody,
No
and,
doubt.
and everything, right? And again, the weird thing is that the music usually found in independent music stores would not be found in those other bigger stores.
There is something to be said for we had Pete on talking about this, and even Kevin,
Yeah.
whether it's a label or a record store, you're curating.
Sure.
You're trying to say one that's close to my house, Bionic Records.
Yeah.
For the most part, they are about metal and punk.
Yeah.
If you're looking for metal and punk, that's a great place to go to. If you're looking for hip hop, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
If you're looking for jazz, definitely not. You know what I mean? But if you're looking for metal and hip hop, metal and punk, that's a great place to go to. And that's because he curates it in
Of course.
that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is something to be said for when suddenly you look at the list and the majority of what's being sold is stuff you don't sell at your store.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
having said that, also, there are things that all record stores sell that are on major. David Bowie's on a major label.
Yeah.
There's the Talking Heads are going to be. I found out. I may not be that big of a fan, but I found out Fleetwood Mac. Well, they're not on a label. They're owned by a hedge fund.
Yeah, they're owned by Blackstone.
Yeah, their entire catalog. So that's who's putting that out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not even major label records anymore. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So, all these little factors go into it. And it is to say, yes, that can also be look, the reality is though too, if you really, let's be honest, if you really want to make the money, and it's okay to make money, especially as an independent record store.
Sure.
If you want to keep the doors open, you can't just attract the guy who wants the Fugazi single that only has 20 copies that came out 20 years ago. You're going to have to get people to come in and at least buy on the not so regular, maybe something that's a little more on the popular side.
This is also where I think, we'll get into this as far as the criticism.
Yeah.
But I think this ends up forcing independent stores to carry stuff,
No doubt.
that obviously they wouldn't.
Yes.
Like one example.
Please.
Dr. Strange Records is a very popular record shop out here in Southern California, primarily punk and hardcore and stuff like that. Very underground. And for a long time, it operated as such.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They had to expand not just their musical stock to carry stuff that's maybe a little bit more pop and, modern and well-known.
Right.
They also had to expand to carry clothing and accessories and whatnot. Before, whenever I was able to go in there, it was just the greatest punk bands ever. all of their vinyl, all of their cassettes, maybe some of it bootleg, but that's just kind of the price that you're going to pay when, especially in an underground where stuff isn't easily accessible, right?
No doubt.
Record Store Day comes in, and they have some practices that kind of, like I said, strong arm smaller shops into not just buying, but if you want to participate and get some of that capital that people are earning, that extra capital, you're going to have an abundance of stuff where, yes, you're right, David Bowie, while, you can find him anywhere, maybe Doctor Strange used to not carry David Bowie,
for sure.
but now they do.
Yeah, yes.
Right? So
strong-armed by a company that says, well, if you want these other ones, then you're going to take this too.
Yes, exactly.
And yes, that kind of defeats the purpose of it. And in some ways, also, I think that's what you're touching on, takes away from the beauty of an independent record store that curates its own thing.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of it is also sign of times. If you want to stay open and you want to compete, unfortunately, you may have to start selling some T-shirts. You may have to start selling some patches.
Sure.
I'm sure Amoeba would love to just not sell Crosley fucking record players. You know what I mean? I'm sure they would. But they also understand, look, man, that's part of the game. I don't have a choice, back, not to get into just record stores in general, but, one of the things they would have to compete against back in the day that shut down a lot of record stores was something like Best Buy. Best Buy could sell CDs for $9. Who gives a shit? I'm selling $600 refrigerators and $1,200 TVs.
Yeah.
And you look at Amoeba and go, well, I can't sell them for that cheap. I won't make any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that already started, and now Record Store Day, to a degree, has compounded that to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Bionic Records is a perfect example. I mean, you go in there right now, especially this close to when it already happened. I promise you, he's got a milk crate that says Record Store Day leftovers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they're these like compilation of jazz stuff. They're compilation of like cumbia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying like his clientele isn't going in there and getting that shit.
Yeah.
They're just not,
I took some of the information that I'm going to be kind of rehashing here from three sources. One was a gentleman named, I think his name was Mark, from out here in Los Angeles. He has a record shop out here.
Okay.
That used to participate in Record Store Day. There's a channel on YouTube called The Vinyl Den.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
Which I'm very particular to, not just because my name is Nick and his name is Nick. But he has a lot of really good information.
Right on.
Just, vinyl culture, vinyl collecting, and blah, blah, blah. And then the third one was another gentleman on a channel called The Punk Rock Review.
Okay.
He's got a store in Texas, primarily sells in, if you can believe it, in punk. But they all had kind of similar and also different opinions on Record Store Day, so just for my part, but also I used to, you and I,
we both, listen, I full disclosure, if Record Store Day is selling something I want to buy, I participate.
Sure.
If it doesn't have anything I want, I don't participate.
Right.
It's just the way I look at it. I also will not kill myself to get stuff. Bionic Records on that, he'll usually say the same. I'm going to open up at 8.
Yeah.
I can't tell you when you can or cannot line up, but I open at 8 and I take a few customers at a time. Whatever I have is what I have. I'm not telling you what I've got. Just trust me that most of what you would come here for, we've got.
Right.
Yeah. And if it's here, it's here. If it's not, it's not. There was one year I went, didn't have it. He had already sold the last copy. It was unfortunate, but you live to fight another day.
Sure.
And actually, I got really lucky. I believe it was a Typo Negative album. I got really lucky. Turned out the label was also selling them. So I got home the very next day. They were putting them up for sale. So I said, okay, cool. So I was able to get one.
That particular detail is something I'm going to touch on.
Well, I think these are again, when you start slicing up an already tiny pie, and it's money.
Yeah.
And you need money to survive, and you need money to keep it going. Like, I won't say 100% because the sense I get from the guy who runs Bionic, who, by the way, that record store has been around forever in Orange County.
Bionic Records used to have, I think, like 2 locations.
They had 2 locations, yes. And now they are down to 1. It's a very small store. Like in Record Store Day, it's usually he only lets like 2 or 3 people in at a time. The rest of us got to stand outside. And I'll usually get there about 7:30, and the line's already, you know,
Yeah.
depending on the day, you know, depending on what it is. But I get the sense he begrudgingly participates.
Sure.
I think he knows, bottom line, it does help him. I mean, I'll say, you know, obviously when everybody knows to get there at a certain time, there's more people there than I ever see any other time I walk into that store.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I know it's a little begrudgingly for him, but I think he understands it does help him. It gets people in the door.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of regulars there who show up for the regular stuff. So that's always cool too. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But yeah, I can see as an independent record store, it's like, this is a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22. You know, where it's like, you know, he must see enough of the benefit because he participates in it every year. But
Yeah.
I never get the sense he's like, wee, it's record store day. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a tough position to be in as any small business owner.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And the idea that it would have started with this independent spirit of keeping us all in business and turn into something that is now this strong arm tactic of, you know,
Yeah, it's
forcing
kinda-
me to buy. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So according to the main, I don't want to say complaint,
Mhm.
the main argument here
Yes.
is that a gentleman from that guy Mark from
Mhm.
the store out here, he wanted to participate, but what Record Store Day headquarters
Mhm.
was kind of pushing on him wasn't stuff he'd normally sell.
Right. Right.
Right. And so he kind of contacted them, and they said, well, for one, you sell mostly used records, which shouldn't ever be a complaint
No. What?
because that's what's kept vinyl culture
Yeah.
alive, right?
And by the way, if the intention is about keeping record stores alive, who gives a shit what they sell or how whether it's new or used?
Right, right. Yeah, so they tried saying, like, you don't sell new stock anyway, which he argued, and I think the general consensus in a lot of stores is that you have like a 70-30, of 70% of new stuff,
Okay.
30 used.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
And so he argued that fact, and they came back with, well, you have to buy these titles and this many of them
Right.
if you want these really niche releases that you're looking for your store. So that alone sounds pretty
Yeah.
like schoolyard bully,
Well, you're
right?
like, it's not like he's saying I don't want to participate. He's
Right.
saying, in fact, you have 7 titles I would love
Right.
that I know I will be able to sell.
Yes.
Can I get those?
Yes.
And they're like, sure, as long as you buy these other 50 things.
Exactly.
Why? What? I don't. So again, it's unfortunately, I get it. Everybody's got to wet their beak.
Sure.
But at what cost? And it just, I think, over time, I got to think more and more record stores are just going to start dropping out of this shit.
I think so. I think that's maybe what's been happening.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I don't know that the numbers fully bear that out, but they do seem to lose record stores every year.
They do.
That's
yeah.
for sure.
And I do see, and that includes this year, a lot of people, I don't necessarily want to call them shills, but a lot of people kind of putting up their Record Store Day hauls and being like, hey, this is what I got, and it's more
and
than
making
usual.
lots of excuses for why this is the greatest thing of all time because
Right.
certain things that they're looking to get. And then, listen, I don't doubt their love of records and their collecting and on and on. It's just to say, well, cool, if you also have a YouTube channel and you get to go on there and say, this is what I got from such and such store, maybe you get to the front of the line.
Right.
Maybe they put
Right.
some stuff aside for
There's
you.
gonna
So, of course, it works
most
for
likely
you.
than not, you're gonna be, there is another additional benefit that's not being
Yes.
put out publicly.
So I just feel like, like, by the way, like anything, it doesn't have to be 100% good and it doesn't have to be 100% bad.
Sure.
Like you said, you and I have participated several times. If they've got something I really want, I will be there for it.
Yeah, yeah.
A shared experience we had was Amoeba Records.
Amoeba, yeah.
And dude, that really I had never done Amoeba Records. I don't think you had done for a record store day.
Not
had
for
you?
Record Store Day.
So I was just like, you know what? They're putting out a Sun record. We're
Yeah.
both major fans. they're putting it out on Record Store Day. Why don't we make a thing of it, dude? I'll come pick you up super early. We'll get to Amoeba Records.
Yeah.
And this is at their old location,
At
by
the
the
old
way.
one. Yeah.
So we were like, yeah, fuck yeah, it'll be fun, man. We'll get it. We'll go back to your house. We'll fucking throw the record on. We'll make a whole day of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we got there at what? I probably picked you up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And we got there at 5, and we were on the other side of the building.
Yeah. It was a long.
That's
fucking
where the line was.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, well, what the fuck? Now, Amoeba does an interesting thing, which I think for them it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's actually a great way to do it for a store that size. They pass out a piece of paper, and you put a check mark. It's all the things that they have for Record Store Day, and you put a check mark next to it.
Yeah.
And what they will do is fill your bag, and they fill all the bags until stuff runs out.
Right.
So you can put down 700 of them, but by the time they get to you and you're 57th in line, you may only get 20 of those 700.
Right.
You know, at that time, I think both you and I obviously put the Sun. I remember Bone Thugs and Harmonies, Eternal 1999 came out, and I put that on my list.
Yeah.
I think there was another one. Was it a Tangerine Dream?
Tangerine Dream.
You had put that on
Hyperborea
yours.
Reissue. Yeah.
And I think you got the Tangerine Dream and you got the Sun.
Sun.
I got the Sun. Did not get the Bone Thugs, which I assumed I probably wouldn't, considering how far back we were.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that was a bit of a revelation was, for me, was the reason, well, not doing this again.
Right.
We met a good buddy of ours at the store. He happened to be hanging out there. And we asked him, like, oh, hey, well, we knew he'd be there. You know, hey, how were you? I even joked, what were you, like the first in line? He's like, dude, not even close. He said, there was a guy who started, the first guy in line got here at 10 p.m. last night.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought to myself, well, if I'm competing with the guy who's getting here at 10 p.m. the night before, I'm done. I'm not doing this. It's not worth it.
Sure.
It's just not, you know. I remember we're standing in line and you see people who were clearly must have been way up in front, and they're coming out with like they're grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Of bags of records.
There was a dude. I remember a guy came out pushing like a little trolley.
Yeah, he had a
right?
cart, and there was another guy. His kid had a bag. The kid was almost weighed less than the bag of records. And you're just going like, you're clearly flipping that shit.
Yeah.
There's no way you needed every one of those.
Right.
And listen, that's your prerogative. You can do that. Whatever. I think it is that kind of two sides of it. Like, it does take away from the spirit of it all.
Sure.
I think it does. But at the same time, I guess this actually is the spirit of it, kind of. Sadly, we've turned it into the spirit of that.
Kind of, yeah.
You know
I
what I
mean?
mean?
It's the other side of collecting. You know,
and I think that's another thing I think that is poisoned Record Store Day, is now making it about, they're more about collecting it than it is about what it is they're collecting. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care what it is. It's that, oh, they only made 200 copies? Sweet.
See, I would be a little bit more lenient towards them being the flippers or whatever, if it was 200 copies. But the thing is that like most of the stuff that's coming out, especially the stuff that's being pushed by these labels, is 2,000, 5,000.
I mean, the year that I told you I went to Bionic to get that Typo Negative record, I literally got home, went on Discogs, and there were already 5 copies of them for sale.
Yeah.
And you're just like, so either you're in New York, you know what I mean, or you already knew you were going to get it, and you're already ready to sell it.
You got that time zone jump on you.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, to me, that it really does take away from the it's kind of like back in the day when you'd stand in line for concert tickets, and you're the third guy, and somehow when you got up to the front, they were telling you the only seats they got are in the nosebleed. You're like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's
which
just
happens now.
Oh, yeah.
With the scalpers and the bots and all that stuff,
God,
right?
Yes. You know? And like I said, it really sucks because, you know, I think, like I said, I keep saying the spirit of it seems so pure and so wonderful towards everything that we care about, and it's been so tainted by everything that it shouldn't be about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think going back to the collecting, and so collecting anything, I think creates a microeconomy of sellers, buyers, etc.
No doubt.
And scalpers. That's
no doubt.
I think those are the 3 that are in there. Doing it the way that Record Store Day has been doing it, especially with pushing the product that literally nobody wants.
Yeah.
You mentioned something. You bought the Typo Negative record off of the label's website. So one of the 3 individuals that I mentioned earlier had even suggested this is all stuff that, not a lot of people are looking for, especially to be pushed on Record Store Day.
Yes.
Why wouldn't the labels still be able to make the records and just sell them through themselves, through their own web store, right?
Yes.
Instead of making a record shop buy it at an inflated price.
Right.
Because sometimes, let's face it, you're getting a reissue of a live Queen album.
Right.
And maybe there's 2 songs that nobody's heard.
Right.
And those are the ones they want.
Right.
But you have to buy a $39.99 double LP to get those 2 songs.
Yep.
So you could put out that whole live album with a bonus 2 songs.
Right.
Maybe a little bit at cost, which would be at that point something like $25-$30,
Sure.
Instead of the $39.99.
Sure.
And you could charge somebody for shipping and handling $6, $36. You still make a decent amount of money back if you're selling it straight from the record label and not pushing it at Record Store Day. Now, because this type of technology does exist, and I know it seems like additional hard work, but I know there are things that can make this be a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, market the records that are coming out for Record Store Day to the individual communities? So like West Coast, especially like LA,
right?
You could find the bands that are trying to participate in Record Store Day from LA, make those bands pop up at the stores. Therefore,
well, I think they do some of that. It's small, but I hear you.
Yes,
because there are regional releases, right?
Yes,
At times where it's like you can only get it if you're in the Midwest.
Right,
I think Jack White has even done that, right? You can only get it as Third Man Record Store.
At Third Man, yeah.
But I hear you making that more of a thing. I think that would be cool because it would feel more regional. It would feel more like, hey man,
like we're
us
paying
West
more
Coast guys, we got to participate so we can support our local scene or local bands that come from that.
Right. Yeah.
That would be
and it's promoting again the shop, the scene, the collecting culture, right?
Well, you know what this is. I mean, this is the greed part of it. Why should I set up a shop and sell it when I can force you to buy it for a higher price so that you sell it for a higher price, and then we all make money? And it's just like, except I don't need a 5 LP, the best of cumbia when I own a fucking punk rock shop, dude.
Right.
I don't know how to sell that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So back to this gentleman, Mark, the story here is that at any point, shops are dishing out maybe around 20 to 25,000 at a let's say at a fair estimate of what they have to spend to participate in
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Right? That's a lot.
Especially, again, remember, independent record stores.
Which are already struggling.
Yes.
Right? And while we might think of Amoeba as an independent, it's maybe on the upper cusp.
It's on the upper end, yes.
Because Amoeba also has additional locations in the Bay Area. So it is kind of a chain at this point.
It is.
And it is a bigger store. It's internationally known.
No doubt about it.
I
mean, it's in some ways it's a destination if you're here in LA.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And but nonetheless, they too have had to diversify their bonds, if you will, and say, here's some T-shirts, here's some stickers, here's some books,
here's some books,
so that you can get in because maybe these aren't selling as much as the others. But
so a store like Bionic,
sure,
one closer to me, Permanent Records in Highland Park,
fantastic place.
They have to dish out an arm and a leg basically to just participate in this event. Meanwhile, they also have to worry about their regular stock, which they then have to either mark down or create some sort of sales pitch to get people in the door. Because if you're just walking out with the stuff that you bought that's released on Record Store Day, they're not making any money.
That's a good point. You're absolutely, at best, they're breaking even, right? If they sell it all,
at best, yeah.
So
because
that is, I imagine, some of the theory is they'll come in for the Bowie and they'll stay for the. But
for
how
the
often is that happening?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's a great point.
And honestly, this is I'm a comic book fan as well, comic book collector. I noticed that when, Aaron's nice enough to accompany me today to comic book shop. You're going to see.
I'll hang out with you and the rest of the nerds.
You're going to see it's essentially the same vibe as Record Shop.
And again, this is where you already spoke on this, and it's true. This is where the collector part, the balancing of that. We
Yeah.
talked about it when it came to collecting records and CDs ourselves.
Yeah.
There is a balance there where it's like, do I need that? And
Right,
it's just like,
right.
well, need and want aren't the same thing, Aaron.
Yes.
You know? But please continue.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's where, for folks not familiar with Free Comic Book
Mm-hmm.
Day, it's basically comic book shops all over the country sign up to participate. You have to buy the comics they're going to give away. You have to not just buy the ones that you want to give away.
Mhm.
You have to buy all of the comics that you want to give away.
So, and help me understand.
Yeah.
So when it says free comic book,
Yeah.
like I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
So I can walk in there and I get a free comic book.
Yes, they're going to have a selection.
But I can just go, I just want this one, and they say, have a nice day.
Yep.
That's okay. So that seems to make more sense, at least than, well, if I'm not paying for this one, maybe I'll go pay for that one.
Sure.
Now, maybe the cost of a comic, but compared to a cost of the record, is making it a little more difficult to. Although,
well, here's the weird
please,
thing.
no, go ahead.
So, let's say one of the comics today is Archie meets the X-Men.
Okay,
And
I
that's
hope
one. That's one that Aaron has really been looking forward to. You know, like
and I have.
talk about Jughead Wolverine, right? So you walk in, you see the comic, you can literally just grab that comic,
Mhm.
show it to the person at the register, and walk on out.
Right on.
And now they've lost $1.99,
Sure.
right? Because they had to pay for not just that one issue, but maybe all 100 copies of that issue,
I gotcha.
including all 100 copies of the other 20 titles that they're going to be giving away.
Sure.
So
Okay.
now that starts adding up. That's
Yes, it
$200 per title.
Yeah, you're watching money literally walk out the door.
Literally walk out the door. So a lot of shops will usually try to hold events, you know, and this goes for both Comic Book Day, Free Comic Day, and Record Store Day.
Absolutely.
They'll make events. They'll try to get people in there, the celebrities and whatnot, or as more and more stores have been doing, they'll cut prices on their regular stock. That's just to move more items out the store.
Make it more, which kind of goes to the Black Friday thing where it's like, oh man, that TV's $20 less than it. Great, but everything you pass, they've raised the price on
Everything else.
and then you feel like, well, since I saved money on the TV, I
Yep.
can grab this toaster that
There
they
you
raised
go.
up. Yeah,
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, at one point or another, the shop itself is paying, you know, as the saying goes,
Mhm.
out the ass.
Yeah, man.
Right? Nothing is free,
No,
especially if it's anything to do with market.
sure.
Right. So, what's the point? Like, what's the point here? Well, do you, Aaron, as an individual, keep supporting something like Record Store Day or even Free Comic Book Day and Mike,
Yeah.
you know, or yours with Archie and X-Men, you know?
Yeah. Well, it depends on how good the issue is. But,
Well, that's true, yeah.
but yeah, that is, look, this is the conundrum all the way around, right? Like,
Yeah.
we all want to shop better with our dollar.
Sure.
Right? We
Yeah.
all want to know it's at least going someplace that doesn't feel like you just, handed it over to Dr. Evil. You know what I
Right,
mean? But at the
right.
same time, like, in a way, you and I are we're not the target audience for these things.
No, not at all.
We've
Not at all.
the hook has been sunk in both of us. We're going to show up no matter what.
Yep.
What they are trying to get is the outsider to show up.
Yeah.
Now, to that degree, and something you've touched on many times, one of the things I read also was one of the big winners in Record Store Day, especially in the last 6 or 7 years, has been this tiny little indie artist. I don't know if you've heard of her, called Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
As she has reissued her albums over and over again, as she
Yeah.
wins them back so that she can do this. Her fans look, and they're loyal as shit. We all
Sure.
know this.
Hey.
I am not about to piss off Swifties
No.
here. It's just to say, yes, they show up to buy her shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, tell me how this is about independent anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I do get that, but it is that sort of thing of I guess the fear is, and obviously, if I don't go one day, I don't think it's going to go under.
Right.
But the fear is well, what if we all, let's say all of us hardcore, we've been doing this for years, people, all decide, fuck off, we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, does that make our record stores go away? Because none of us want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I mean, we have to figure they're gonna take, especially if they're participating,
Mhm.
they're gonna take a 20,000 hit
Oh, no doubt.
for that month,
No
which
doubt.
is devastating.
It
It's
could be
devastating,
huge.
right?
And I guess the good news is they can opt out, right?
Sure,
They
yeah.
can participate 1 year and go, wow, that wasn't worth it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I'm stuck now with 40 copies of an album I'll never get rid of, even if I beg people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? I mean, you say like incentives. I remember one time I went to Rhino Records.
Yeah,
Try
yeah,
them out. They give you a little party bag.
Yeah.
I think Amoeba kind of did the same thing. It had like which was also an 8-track in it, which was like, thanks, I'll do what with this?
We're gonna
You know, it was like a 45. I mean, all of it was used shit.
throw out our trash.
Yeah,
for us.
essentially,
Right.
yes, and some stickers, and you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You know, there was some cool shit in it, but for the most part, it was just like, this is your garbage, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, but I like the idea of it. Like, there's more bang for your buck. Like
Sure.
you said, make it an event. Like, really make it an event.
Yeah.
But then again, can they afford that? Like Bionic, he doesn't make it an event. You come in, you get your record, you leave. There's no band playing outside. He doesn't have coffee and donuts. Like, I don't imagine he can afford that.
Yeah.
So
Bionic isn't set up to be, because Rhino Records also has Rhino the label. behind it,
yeah.
right. So
Well, well, it's the one in, I want to say Montclair.
yeah, Montclair.
Oh, is that
yeah,
okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like Bionic doesn't have that
Right,
type
that
of
kind of
team.
backing. I
Yeah,
got- yeah.
exactly. So a lot of the smaller stores won't have that, right?
Well,
Like,
how could you afford? I mean, if you're putting out 20 grand twice a year,
You're probably
You're done.
You're probably saving up
Yeah.
for participation in this,
right?
right? Because look, you're also not hosting in-store events
Right.
outside of Record Store Day,
Right.
The difference here between like Bionic and Permanent,
Mm-hmm.
Permanent has a venue
Oh, that's right. Yes.
next door, so
Yes.
they can kind of dip into each other's
Sure,
pools and be
sure.
like, well, if I'm going to participate in Record Store Day, maybe I can pull some resources from the venue
Yeah.
and use it, whatever. Bionic doesn't have
No,
that, right?
no.
So the frills are gone in Bionic. Bionic, it's like you come in, you get, or you don't, and you leave, right?
And again, I don't want anyone to think for 1 second there's this cold place.
Yeah,
where no
it's
one's
not.
at. What I
Bionic
mean
is
like,
it's a cool store.
It
It's
is.
just
At
it
that
is
time,
what
it's
it is.
strictly business, man.
Yeah,
because
it's
just
yeah.
there's a lot of people outside. Everybody's looking for stuff. He usually he runs that store pretty much by himself.
Yeah.
At that day, he's got 2 extra people that he's essentially like, you tell me what you want, we find it, we throw it in a bag. The other guy charges you next.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. So it's very cut and dry for what it
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
Great store, but yeah, so, and meanwhile, somewhere like Amoeba,
Mm-hmm.
who have the money,
Oh, for
right,
sure.
they can put in goodie bags. They can get the celebrities to come in store, and it's gonna be more of an impression at Amoeba than any of the other actual smaller independent stores.
Yeah, although I will say, I mean, again, for depending on who you are, because we're different, we're
Yeah.
we're the minority in this.
Yeah.
Is just like, for all the hoopla, and I love Amoeba. I go there
Sure.
once a year because otherwise I would be living in my car. I love going there. But-
20,000 in debt.
yeah, exactly. Just be living in a calyx because it'd be the only thing I could, So it's just to say, I love going there, and it's a great record store. But to me, that really feels, all those little extras that they do are wonderful, but it's really just icing. I just want the cake, man.
Also,
I don't need
it's a
any
lot
of
of
it.
self promotion for
And
the
I-
store,
And I
right?
don't blame them. I mean, look, this is a moment in which they are going to catch a lot of eyes
Yes.
that they otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah.
Look, to their credit, Amoeba does a lot of in-stores with people who I don't think a lot of people have ever heard of.
Right.
The very independent artists.
A little known artist named Chelsea Wolf.
Well,
that
yes.
Aaron and I were
But they've
both
also
lucky.
done, like Fireball Ministry, and
Yeah.
then, but yes, they also do like Thundercat and Ozzy,
Right.
where he's like, okay, wow, you're going to get a line around the block with those ones. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
The new Foo Fighter listening party. Okay, that's me. But again, I don't blame them for doing that, because at the same time, they still balance it with what's in my bag, and it'll be like this band that, Tortoise, Health,
Yep.
And you're just like, wow, okay, these are cool little indie artists. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So they do, to their credit, they do a really good, like, I don't think they've ever lost their roots, I guess is what I would say about Amoeba. But they are a corporation in a way, because you're right. They are a chain. We got to keep the doors open. We got to pay our people.
Sure.
And
yeah.
if doing these mainstream things can keep us also where you can find independent local LA artists,
Yeah.
and you can also find that hard to find Japanese jazz album, we're all for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yes, but if you're a little store, it's harder to do all that.
Yep.
And when you sell your soul to that 20 grand twice a year, because obviously it must be helping. Otherwise, why would you do it?
Why would you keep doing it? Yeah.
But it's such a, like I say, I think that's the disillusion. And yeah, I guess for me, when it comes to the participation part, back to your original question from 20 minutes ago, the participation for me is just about what's on the list. If
Sure.
the list has something I really want, I will show up. If it doesn't, last year it fell into my lap. I was really getting into that Deltron 3030 album.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find it was very difficult. I was even like, fuck it, I'll just, because I'm kind of back on CDs anyway. I was like, I'll just get it on CDs. It's not a problem. I just want the music, you know?
Yeah.
And then I looked and I was like, record store just come. Let me see what's on there. Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
They reissued it. And I went there and he happened to have a copy. One of two. I got real lucky, Again, not his normal clientele. So, probably why I got lucky there. If I had tried that shit at Amoeba, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
So it is to say, I looked at it this year and went, nope, nothing worth standing in line for. I'm good.
That's how it's been more and more for me. Like I've forgotten, in the past to check the list.
Yeah, if not for, reminders on, the social medias,
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you what these dates were without writing them down. I didn't,
Yeah.
Black Friday, I guess it would have hit me. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
But like the April one,
Yeah.
I know it's at some point at the start of the year. I
Right.
just never knew.
Right.
I don't know.
I didn't realize it was like, Thanksgiving. It's the third Sunday.
The third Sunday,
Or
yeah.
third Saturday kind of thing. Like, oh, shit, okay.
So yeah, that even at some point within the last couple years, the Deicide's Once Upon the Cross was reissued.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have gotten it, but when I looked at the list, it was for one uncolored vinyl, which I am a sucker for vinyl that's in different colors.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't affect the sound to me, it's just what it is. But I would have liked black vinyl, just because
listen,
just because it's
I hear
one for one, it's the cheaper option. Secondly, you can make that any day. Just fucking send it to the press.
100.
Get 500 copies and blah blah blah. So Deicide's release must have been a reissue that must have not have gotten the 2,000 copies notice, because it sold out quick.
Oh, I'm sure.
As expected. It was for sale for like $40, which is not a bad price because it was double LP.
Under those circumstances, not at all.
Yeah, right. So 180 gram, whatever. But then I go on Discogs and like the day after it's $80.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it's like, well,
yeah.
Here's one of my favorite bands,
Right.
one of my favorite albums by said band,
Right.
and I can actually buy an original copy for way less,
Yeah.
than the reissue. And but so again, like what at that point, what is the point for me to go line up, spend hours in line? And I know it's community and blah blah blah, but I can also get that community without spending.
Oh, yes.
Without the time, investment, and then the potential reality of being disappointed by them not having what I want.
Yeah, which
right?
is that is the bummer for sure.
But it's part of the hunt,
It is,
especially
right?
if you're collecting.
I mean, certainly you and I are old enough. There were plenty of albums we hunted for years.
Yes, yeah.
I've told the stories. I mean, when I found that fucking November Coming Fire, my night was done.
Yeah.
That time I saw the Danzig 3 box set. I spent every dollar I had and had my friend have to take me home. Sorry, I know we were going out tonight, but I don't have any cash. So, you know what I mean? Like, we've all been there for that.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
and I think, believe me, I think even record stores are disappointed in that. They do not want to turn away a customer.
Right.
They do not want to say, I'm sorry, we sold the last copy of it.
Yeah, of course.
But unfortunately, I also can't afford to buy every goddamn copy of it, and they're going to make sure I don't get every copy of it.
Yep.
Like, if you're Bionic and you know anything about them, you should want them to have very many copies of Deicide's Once Upon the Cross.
Yeah.
Because they're probably going to sell every one of those things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And again, yeah, I think it's just eventually that pie gets sliced up so much, and the people at the top are really... Again, those who started it, I think truly their heart was in the right place and really believed in the independent record store and wanted to. And again, dirty thing, but all wanted to make money so they could keep their stores alive and keep them running. But unfortunately, the barnacles showed up who started attaching themselves to this and really turning it into all about money. And that includes, like I said, the sellers because, look, they have every right to do it. I'm not whatever. It's part of, and it is part of the collecting, right? The flippers. It just is what it is. But it is to say they are taking away from the joy of it. When you know that guy walking out with a fucking cart that he's pushing of records, it's like you can't possibly like all of those. And, he's immediately going on Discogs and he's going to, triple the price on those fucking things.
Going back to the thing that I said about labels selling the records themselves, I think, if we were to talk about like what could make this event better as far as the music that's released, they could, if the labels wanted this level of participation, which I'm sure they do, because they're doing it already, right?
Of course.
Why not hold surveys of some sort? Why not poll?
What are things people want to see reissued?
What
are
are
things
exactly.
that would be, like every year you could do a top 10, and those are what we,
There
you
you
know
go.
what I mean? Like,
There you
it'd
go.
probably have to go more than a year. It'd probably be, you'd have to do it that year, and then the next year, those, with
That's what would
with
be
the numbers.
reissued.
But I think, those are, because taking that choice away from all of us is
Yep.
a little weird. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
when you see a lot of what they reissue, let's be completely honest. Like, look, this year, it's just not an album I particularly like, but I love the artist. They put out a Gil Scott-Heron record. That's amazing. That's awesome. But it's also surrounded by 50 other things that, that have been reissued or you can find anywhere.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's great that you are re-releasing a Gil Scott-Heron record, because I hope somebody might get to hear him that maybe didn't hear him before.
Yeah.
But chances are Gil will be buried beneath the 50 other reissues of shit that nobody ever needed.
Totally.
You know?
And that's the thing. Like I get it that in this case Fleetwood Mac gets its 150th reissue of Rumors and that one live concert from England. Okay, but people have that, right? Like people have that, and that's another complaint that we've heard is that pressing plants get backed up with these reissues.
Oh, yeah.
I know it happened with the Taylor Swift.
Yes.
And again, no shade on Swift or Swifties. But this is a reality.
Oh, yeah.
Like pressing plants only put out so much,
Yes.
in a year. So if they're being held up with reissue orders of 5,000
Right.
copies, and these 5,000 copies are for one title.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are 20 titles that are being reissued at 5,000 each, that's a lot of records.
That's a lot of records.
That's also a lot of records of smaller bands that aren't getting put out.
Because the other part of this, and let's not pretend, and it's, again, this is the sad reality of it all. Those lists aren't just coming with lists. They're coming with a wad of cash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And more than probably they need to make sure it gets bumped to the front of the line.
Right.
Because your small label is going to come in with just enough to make those pressings.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to slide the maitre d' a 50 to hope to get a nice
They're
chair.
going to be counting pennies as they're paying you. Yeah.
So, that's part of it too. And look, if you're in the business of making these vinyl, I don't blame them.
Sure.
You come in with, $10,000.
The safe bet.
I got to make these because, by the way, if I make the stuff that BMG walks in for 50 grand, that's what's going to allow me to stay open to make your little labels band.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
And I get it. And maybe some kind of combination of, for instance, I think I told you how this all kind of weirdly came together earlier on this year. Excuse me. I found this band, John Boy.
Yeah.
And Last FM recommended them to me, but also I got this thing that says Southern Lord was going to put out essentially like a box set of all the 2 records and some demos. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Look how those 2 are kind of come together at the same time.
Yeah.
And I listened to them. They were really good. I wouldn't buy it, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Sure.
But I thought to myself, well, Southern Lord clearly didn't go get Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say we've got, 10,000 people listening to this episode. Maybe 50 of them know who John Boy is, and maybe 10 of them found out because I mentioned it.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Southern Lord clearly went and found this band that they thought were really cool. I imagine when I say Southern Lord, the Lord himself.
Yeah.
Thought this was a really cool band and said,
Mr. Anderson.
Yes, he wanted to give some press to it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, and I think that's a neat thing that Record Store can do.
Yeah.
Maybe it is
definitely.
about maybe working with each. Like, imagine if maybe every label was limited also.
Yeah.
You only get
yeah.
3 releases every time.
That would be great. That would be great.
And you could really curate some shit. You know what I mean? Let Blue Note put out some jazz records that they haven't been put out in a long time, or remastered, or we found these,
Yeah.
5 other takes of a John Coltrane song that we're going to attach to a record you've already bought,
Yep,
or whatever.
yep.
Maybe that's some of it.
I would be.
The problem is it's, we're looking at it from our perspective. They're looking at it and they're going, I'm sorry, I can't hear any of this over the piles of cash.
Yeah, I'm being
So-
drowned out by the money stuffed in my ears. Yeah.
Benjamin saying otherwise. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's really the problem. I mean, it really has. It's lost its way.
It has.
ultimately.
It has. Ultimately,
And
it has.
Between
yeah.
the collectors who have turned into the must collect, even though I don't actually want it,
right.
the collectors who get it to flip it, and the greed of the companies that are forcing independent record stores
Yeah.
to buy their shit that they know they can't sell and reissuing shit that who was clamoring for this?
Right.
Who
so
needed this?
back to the story arc that I've been kind of
Please. Yes.
on. The gentleman Mark from the LA record shop, he at one point was presented with like, look, you're either going to sell the stock that the record store headquarters is pushing,
Right.
or you're out. And so he said, well, I only want these handful of titles because that's what my store sells anyway,
Right.
and that's what I know my community is going to buy.
Right.
So at some point, record store day exec said, well, you're out, and they cut him off being able to sign up for record store day participation. That's kind of messed up in and of itself, that this shop can kind of cut you off of trying to, for one, highlight your shop,
Right.
because that's
Oh,
that's,
yeah. Oh,
that's what it comes down
Huge,
to,
right? You're on the list of shops that are participating this year.
Yeah.
That tells people, because by the way, there probably may be some people who would like to travel to a new place this
There
year.
you go. There
you
you
know,
go.
go,
yeah.
I'm going to check out this record store this year.
Yep.
And now you're no longer on that list, So again, the spirit of helping independent record stores goes right out the window.
Right out the
And now
window.
it's not about that. Unless you follow our rules, you can't participate in, which really goes back to that original statement to some degree. I get it. Every day is a record store day. You're
Yes,
right.
yeah.
We don't have to officially make one, but when you make one and it highlights these different record stores and it highlights the culture of record buying and going into a record store, all the things that most of us lament isn't what it used to be.
There you go. You highlight the things that we liked about participating and going to the shop and buying vinyl.
Yeah.
You made it a community effort,
Yeah.
right? So we felt better about going to the stop,
For sure.
the store on this particular day,
Yeah.
standing around a bunch of other dorks like us,
Yeah.
and talking about albums that we probably don't like, but we're excited.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was the truth of it. We were in line for that Sun album. People were asking us, hey, what are you here for?
Right, right.
Sun. And they didn't make
No,
faces. They
no.
were just like, cool.
Right
well,
on.
I'm here for this other shit.
Well, again, it's that community, right? It's
Yeah.
like no different than going to a concert, no
Yep.
different than going to
Yep.
comic book day,
Yep.
no different than going to a Ren fair.
Yeah.
You're there ultimately for the community that you're showing up to.
Yeah.
And it does feel good in this collective, because the reality is no matter how many people actually participate in Record Store Day, it's still a very small, again, back to our popularity thing,
Yeah.
It is a small fraction of
It
people who
is.
actually do it.
It is. Yeah.
And so it is this neat thing that on the outside feels so cool. It's like you realize, oh, there's more of us geeks and weirdos. Look at us. We're all here. And yet you're right. 50 people in a row would tell you a totally different album they're there for.
Yep.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
But again, all this other stuff takes away, and it just really, it's hurting who should be the person who should be gaining the most from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, to me, is the real downside, and it makes it go like, I see both sides of this whole argument. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other per se, because I understand what it can do and what it must be, because why would people participate?
Sure.
But I also see it as this, like, I don't want to say a necessary evil, because I don't think it is a necessary evil necessarily. But it is to say, I know, it is to say, it must be helping, but also I imagine if it left tomorrow, record stores would find a way. Bionic was surviving one way or the other.
Yeah.
Amoeba was surviving one way or the other. All these record stores that, look, if you're still staying open to this point, you're doing something right beyond Record Store Day.
I honestly don't even think it's a necessary thing, because
Oh, I don't either.
and here's I know I've said I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Or if I haven't, I that is my stand. I can take it or leave it.
If it left tomorrow, I wouldn't miss it. But if they got a record I want, I go to it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So the I think another alternate that maybe can be considered at some point.
Yeah.
I would hope to, if people don't want to associate themselves with Record Store Day, stores can just offer their own events.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like they can do anniversary, like this is the day we opened.
Dude.
This is our 1 year anniversary from like 50 years ago, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You want, and this might be arguable, but you telling me that if you're a metal record shop, let's say Bionic Records,
Sure.
and you ask the other shops around, like, hey man, can I get a band to come and play in the parking lot for half an hour? And they're putting out a record on the day that you want to make the event.
Dude.
That's not going to get people in there?
Well, we know it does. Like, how many times did you and I show up to a Tower Records just because Slayer or Danzig or somebody else showed up?
Yep.
So yes,
yeah, in-store signings and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are ways to do it, and I, believe me, I'm sure everything we're spitballing here is everything an independent record store has been spitballing for years.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because that's, and again, and that's not to say like we're wasting our time. It's just to say that is, to their credit, why they're still fucking open and why the others have closed.
Yeah.
Because they are sitting around trying to figure out what you got to do.
Yeah.
I've seen Bionic change over the years.
Sure.
That first store was huge.
Yeah.
But this is when people were buying CDs. They didn't even have very many vinyl in there at that time.
That
now,
was
he
the
is
Huntington Beach
Yeah,
location.
and then there was the other one in Fullerton.
Yeah, Fullerton.
And now he is exclusively vinyl.
Yeah.
The CDs, I don't think he even buys CDs anymore. You can find CDs in there, but they're all leftovers.
Right.
And it's just to say, even this, I've watched him go from being more, say, doom, stoner, sludge centric.
Yeah.
And, you could get some death metal and you could definitely get some thrash. Now he's getting way more into the black metal stuff, including smaller independent labels,
Yeah.
So in a weird way, he has kind of become, say, in a way, a nuclear war now, but a storefront.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you can, and it's cool to see that evolution, the curation of him clearly seeing the market and where it's going and trying to stay ahead of it.
That's what I was going to say. He's keeping on top of where the music scene is kind of.
And if you want to stay open, you got to, right?
You have to. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird because you think, well, if I had everything, that I could get everybody. And it's like, actually, no.
Which
it's actually better to try to just curate a certain type and then try to get those loyal ones to come in every time.
Famously, there is a store out here called Dark Realm Records, which is unfortunately shutting its doors.
Yes.
They've never participated in Record Store Day when it was at its highest peaks. Not only would bands go in there, right, but they had a catalog, not just of vinyl and CDs and cassettes, but video, DVDs. Like, it was the fucking place to go.
T-shirts, patches, pins,
everything.
like,
right?
Dude, if you were looking for extreme metal,
yeah,
you went to fucking Dark Realm, dude. That's the one that says Sadistic Intent, guys.
Sadistic Intent.
Okay,
yep.
making sure.
Our updoors neighbors.
Fantastic. They had the one in Downey. I think the other one is still in Downey.
In Downey. It was literally right down the street from the first location.
Amazing place, dude. I mean, so cool. And like it had its own vibe.
Yep.
Every time you went in there, for the most part, everybody was cool.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that kind of, that's the other thing. Maybe that's an episode of what killed some independent record stores is themselves. You know what I mean? But it's just say the guys in there were always cool.
Always cool. Super nice.
You bring up a CD and they'd be like, oh, hell yeah, man. That's a great one. Da-da-da. Do you like this guy? Hey, I like the shirt you're wearing. You know what I mean? And like it was metalheads on metalheads kind of thing in there. And it was really cool.
Which is also a very cool adult title.
But yeah, I mean, those are all part of the experience of independent record stores and getting people to go in there. But again, no offense to, I won't even say Swifties per se, but I'm just saying, for the average music listener, they don't give a shit how they get their music.
Right.
I'm not saying they don't want to buy a record. They may buy it, and we found this out too. The other little dirty secret about record buying is something like 40% of people buying records don't even own a record player.
Record player, right.
It's art they put up on the wall or something they put on a shelf to show off, which again, if you're selling records, I don't give a flying fuck what you do with it. You can stick it up your ass as long as you sell the record and keeps the band going.
Yeah.
It is just to say, those people, I don't think they give a shit about the experience of the record store.
Well, remember famously, there were stories about people buying the record at Target,
right.
and then playing it, and they think that they bought the wrong record,
Yes,
but
they
we're
didn't
playing
know
it
the
at the
speed.
wrong speed.
Which, look,
You know,
we have all listen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and pretend that hasn't happened to me.
No, not
now,
at all,
Now
yeah.
I understood. Oh, I have it at the wrong speed. But
Yeah.
it's definitely it's like, wow, for a sludge band, this is pretty fast.
Yeah, I
and-
discovered my favorite thrash band,
Right,
Kyressa, this way.
Right. Well, they're taking a really different direction with these
Yeah, I
vocals.
was like, man, they're really fast.
But yes, it is to say, again, I don't. It's weird because the person you're trying to attract in those ways, in a way, is the everyday.
Yes.
Well, the everyday person doesn't really give a shit about the record store experience.
Not at all.
And,
Not at all.
that's not neither good nor bad. It just
Sure.
is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just this, again, it's this double-edged sword, this kind of catch-22 for all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't blame record stores for just saying, I'm going to set this one out.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is what.
And if you can stay afloat without it, then by all means, it probably is better to do anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So this gentleman who opted out, or
Mhm.
who was forcibly opted out, he's running a store. I don't think he participates in record store day anymore. The other two that I mentioned,
Mhm.
the punk rock guy owns the shop in Texas.
Mhm.
He doesn't participate in it any longer because he said he's sitting on backstock from record store day.
Oh, I can imagine.
that they have crates of that just say, RSD exclusives.
Right.
But nobody's looking through them.
No.
And eventually, since he bought that anyway, he has to now sell it at a discounted price.
Of course.
And he's out that bloated price that he
Right.
was charged anyway. So of the potential 20 grand that somebody's putting into
Right.
this, you're probably making back a good 5.
And
from
how
that.
crazy is that? It's like this hot potato that's going to get passed around. Then he goes, "Here, I got to go to this record store to sell
Yep.
these record store day exclusives." And then they're looking through it going, "Are you kidding me? I've got 5 of those over here. I don't want
Yeah.
any of that."
Exactly.
You know,
so then
Jesus.
those freebies that you might have gotten at Rhino,
Hmm.
guess what's going to be in those freebie bags a couple of years from now?
Oh no,
right?
I have no doubt. I haven't been there. I haven't been there in years for a record store day. But yeah, you're probably at some point. You're like, wait, it'll say store day exclusive on this
2025, right?
Yeah, no, I'm sure of it. Because otherwise, how else to get rid of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think when Aaron and I opened up at one point after winning the lottery, our rehearsal room records and venue.
Yes.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say if we will or won't participate in record.
No,
store
I'm
day.
not interested. To be completely honest, with
I'm
you.
not. I'm not either.
it
But
just- if we were in this very much dream scenario,
In
we were
this
that
mo- in this-
independently wealthy that we could do all these things.
in this multiverse where
Yes.
we come out on top.
I can't wait to see how large my breasts are. It's just like there's no reason to participate in it if you don't have to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
I
blame
don't.
record stores that do. I get it.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. If you think it's helping you, by all means, because I want you open 364 days. Never mind the one day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it is to say, like, I it's not a judgmental thing on record stores that participate.
No, not at
I'm
all.
more
Not at
judging.
all.
I think we both are. Is the sense I get from you too. It's just the event itself, and especially those who have now organized
The
it.
people behind it.
Well, I've
you know,
ruined it.
The
frankly.
incentive behind it,
Yeah.
which I get. It's supposed to be a money-making
Oh, yeah,
event.
yeah.
Like, I get that 100%.
And
I am
listen,
not here to
Money's
say
not
like,
an evil thing necessarily. It just creates some evil shit that happens with it.
right.
you
Yeah,
know?
I
But
think
yeah.
I think when you let the drive
Yeah.
for how much capital you
There it
can
is.
make,
There it is.
that's where you're poisoning the well of
Yeah.
your good intention.
Well,
right.
if these sell, imagine if we did. Like I said, from the first year of 10 to 20 releases to the next year 80.
yeah.
So somebody looked at money and went, "Well, if we can do this with 20 releases, what can we do with 80?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it I think the number that I read was vinyl overall sales after that 2008 event
Mhm.
jumped 41%, which
yeah.
is a huge
That's
number.
huge, especially when it looked like record stores were done for,
Yes.
and that
yeah.
everyone was going digital.
Yeah. Yeah. I still remember the very first record store day that I participated in.
Mhm.
I wanted an Ides of Gemini 7-inch.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And I remember the only shop that was going to have it, or the only two shops, were Amoeba and a now defunct store called Vacation.
Ah.
I was at work, and I told Amy, I'm going to be home late today because I'm going to vacation.
Right on.
And it's record store day. So I'm going to probably have to still wait in line.
Sure.
Being a total amateur. So I show up at Vacation Vinyl. There's nobody in the store, first of all. And I'm like, well, do you have the Ides of Gemini that came out for this? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's there. And they point me to a box that had 10 copies. All 10 copies that they had for the day. So even back then, and this is a long time ago.
And that's a local band at a small independent,
niche
curated store.
Yeah.
And even they couldn't sell.
Even they couldn't sell it. And this was way back in the day when record store day was still a newish kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so imagine you're now at an Abiba.
Oh.
Right? You go for Sun or whatever the case.
Sure.
And consider how much stock they're going to sit on now. You're going to walk in 3 years after the fact and still be looking at stock they had for record store day.
I'm sure you
right?
could. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. They probably haven't done it because they know it wouldn't look that great. But they could open up a section in there that just said record store day.
Oh, yeah.
It might be. It might be on the stage there in boxes that just say record store day records. And you can just go through it and find whatever you want, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it would be nice to say, I'm not picking on, jazz or cumbias and Fleetwood Mac. Some of that is also to say it would be nice to think, though, again, this is not the kind of people that are attracted to this, that some people took a chance on some of these and went, I don't know anything about cumbias, but it's a $20 record. I'm going to take it home and see what it sounds like.
Sure, yeah.
But that's most likely never going to happen with a lot of these.
No, especially because I know they pack a lot into the release for them to maybe say, this is going to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to make not just the shipping cost, but it's going to make it worth it to press a 180 gram triple LP version of, I don't know, like Celine Dion's fucking one demo or
one
whatever.
Can only hope.
So yeah, I am with you. I don't think it's a necessary thing in the multiverse where we have our store.
Yeah.
I don't think we would be participating in it. No shade to anybody who does.
Not at all. Not at all.
But
like I said, I want independent record stores to exist.
Yeah. I mean,
we love going to a record store. We love buying records from record stores, and I love the experience. Always has. Even when I was going to a Sam Goody or whatever, fine.
Yeah,
it was
all of those Tower Records. I had fond memories of Tower Records,
and even in this digital age where you can order whatever you want online. There's still some magic for those of us who are into it.
Yeah.
When you go into a record store and you see something you didn't even think you wanted to buy and you go, holy shit, I wasn't even looking for this. Throw it in the basket. And you take it up there and buy it. It's just, those are the things that sometimes, we live for. And like I said, I it's just a bummer because I really do feel like it sounded like when you read its origins and you see it did come from ultimately independent guys.
Sure.
But how it's just been usurped. And it just, which feels like everything, right? Like it just, at some point somebody smells money and just goes, well, here's some more. And now we're in charge.
I think what a lot of it is too is they're not just satisfied with breaking even, right? It's always like, we made 10%. Well, next year we're going to make 20%.
Absolutely. Right? And if we don't, well, then we'll have to figure out another marketing
Then we're
scheme.
a failure.
Because if we just make the same every year, that's no good. I mean, this is the tale of all American business, really, when it comes down to. You know what I mean? But
then we get into a whole other topic.
Again, this is where again, it's the downside of this court of capitalism that we live in, unfortunately. And again, there's other parts that compound it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think some of it too is on all of us to say, want and need aren't always the same thing.
Yep.
There are lots of ways you can get these records. There's lots of ways you can get them. Maybe you get it on CD. Maybe you don't get it on record. Maybe, unfortunately, you have to stream it. Maybe you download it. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that the other thing that would be nice is stop buying them from these fucking flippers. Let them sit on a record for 2 years that they want to sell for $100.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it now, pal?
That one's a one that does kind of sting me in the wallet sometimes because, again, you and I both collect records.
No doubt.
I collect comics. I collect books, so when I'm on the hunt for something else that I might want to finish out a collection or whatever, oh, man, I got to tell you, it fucking stings when I look on Discogs or like some of the book sites that I go on, and I see the book. I see what it normally would go for.
Right.
and then I see it marked up, 200%,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, I would have liked
and
that.
and that's a different time we're living in now too, is where everybody kind of knows what everything's worth now.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Or at least
we
what
all
they-
think.
What
we
they,
all think.
what they think it's worth.
Yeah,
You
we
know
all
what I mean?
think we
In
know
other
what
words,
it's
like,
worth.
look, I know this is out of print, and I know that I could sell it for $20, but I know it's out of print, so I'll sell it for $50.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, that's, I think, the big difference now is,
Yeah.
when guys used to just get rid of their stereo system, it was like, whatever, I just want to get something else, or I don't want
Yeah.
it anymore. Well, now they all know everybody wants it.
Yep.
Used to be, you could find a good record player in a thrift shop. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
You
A
know?
good VCR? Not anymore.
Nope. Everybody's running out and getting them, and everything becomes more expensive in that way.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is a smaller part of a bigger problem all the way around when it comes to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, look, if it has stuff that I want, I participate. If it doesn't, I don't, and I don't lament it. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
And if
yeah.
I go there and he doesn't have it, then he doesn't have it.
Right.
I'm not going to drive all the way to Montclair to see if they have it, and then drive all the way to LA to Amoeba to see if they have it. No.
Yeah.
But if I happen to go to Amoeba in December when none of this is going on, and son of a bitch, they have one of the copies of it. Great.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not. It's just like I said. When you realize you're competing against a guy who's willing to sleep on Sunset Boulevard at 10 p.m. on a Friday, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
there's nothing to win here.
There's no competition.
No,
there.
not at all.
You've won, buddy.
You win.
Yeah.
You win the record store day. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
you, pal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not worth it for me.
Yeah. So again, no shade on the shops that
No.
participate. Aaron and I, can take it or leave it. I think it's safe to say. But if you do, or if you see any benefits in participating, or if you actually own a shop and you see the benefits,
Yeah.
let us know.
Absolutely.
Let us know. Let us know if you own a shop and you stopped participating. That
Yeah.
would be
Tell
cool.
us your story. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, we'll highlight your shop and give you a shout out, obviously, and maybe we'll talk to somebody at some point.
And
that-
if you're just somebody who has bought, what are some of the best things you found? What are some interesting ones? What's your story of Record Store Day? Did you stand in line for 12 hours only to find out they didn't have the thing you wanted?
Yeah, I have stood in line for movie releases, comic books,
Okay.
and video games.
All right.
Famously, in the early 2000s, I stood out line for many a video game with my brothers.
Right on.
Mostly Call of Duty.
Right on.
But
You said duty.
whoever makes video games about pooping,
I gotcha.
that's a whole other thing.
I have a Call of Duty right now, actually. Go ahead.
But yeah, let us know either way.
Please.
All that. What have you been watching?
Quite a bit. A couple of oldies. I went back to Kindergarten Cop and Ghostbusters.
Hell yeah. Yep.
Another podcast I listen to from time to time. We're talking about those, so it's just like it's fun to relive those. Also, just wacky shit where you're just like, how does Kindergarten Cop even get made? Like, it's so weird, you know what I mean? Some of the way, but also just fun to see, that back in those days, all the different characters and stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Ghostbusters. Just it's such a great movie. It's so there's no wasted piece of celluloid
Yeah,
in the whole
yeah.
thing. It just, I love that movie so much. Some newer things that I've been watching. A movie on Netflix called Apex with Charlize Theron.
That just came out.
Yes, it
wanna
did.
see this.
Last week. Again, this isn't Shakespeare by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It is a typical action film. She is, I guess you could say, a bit of an adrenaline junkie. She climbs mountains and stuff like that. She loses her husband on a mountain because she kind of pushed when they probably should have not done the thing.
I see.
And she blames herself. So now she's kind of on a spiritual journey of this kind of thing or whatever. Goes to Australia, meets a kid that she thinks is going to be nice, and turns out, he is not nice at all. And he decides, I'm going to hunt you now. Hence
yeah.
the word Apex.
Apex Predator.
It's that, his name's, I wrote it down, Taron Egerton from The Kingsman. I think
Okay.
people would mainly know him from. He's also in a really cool remake of Robin Hood that, what's that English director? Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And shit, you know who I'm talking about.
That dude.
Yeah,
Everyone knows
that
who
guy.
he
He's
is.
the one who was married to Madonna for 2 seconds. He did it with Jamie Foxx, did a remake of Robin Hood, which I would recommend.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool. The action, especially, fantastic. Another one I watched that was something else. Tell me if you saw, I think you said Begonia?
Begonia. Yeah,
Did you see this already?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
what the fucking fuck? Like, wow, dude. I get it. That guy, Yorgos, I get it. Killing a sacred deer, the poor things. I didn't, it's not like I went into it going, oh, well, this will just be a regular movie. Like, I thought it'd be weird, but wow. Wow.
Begonia was a cool movie.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the shit out of it, but it was definitely like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Man?
Yeah.
Good little mystery where you're just going like, wait, is she? No, she's okay. She's just smarter than him. She's playing him, and then
At one point, Amy stopped the movie
uh-huh.
and asked everybody in the room, "Do you think she is or she isn't?"
Okay.
And I was like, all signs point to yes, but I don't know. Movies now, like, again.
Yeah. Oh no, it feels like a huge red herring,
right?
The whole time, like they want me to believe, so therefore it can't be.
Yeah, and Amy's brother was like, "I don't want to play this game. Let's just watch the movie."
When she goes back in that closet, I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding?" Sure enough,
yeah.
It's like, wow, this whole time, dude.
This whole time, yeah.
But I very much liked it. I thought,
See,
very
I'm
cool.
gonna say
Please.
this was a movie where the subversion in the plot I didn't mind.
I got you. No,
Whereas with
down to fuck St. Louis.
yeah,
We'll get to that because actually I continued with another version of him, but
okay,
which I thought was even better.
all right.
Another movie, Dust Bunny. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's on HBO right now. I had seen the commercials for this. I was very much looking forward to seeing it. It very much held up. Mad Mikkelsen is in it.
Okay,
Sigourney Weaver is in it.
hell yeah.
It is done like I'm watching it saying, okay, so the plot of this movie is a little girl who at most could be 10. She hires what she believes to be a hitman, and he is, to kill the dust bunny that has killed her parents that lives under her bed.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. That old thing.
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm 10 minutes into this thing going like, why does this feel familiar? Like what something about this feels like I've been in this world. There's a little Tim Burton-ish feel to it. There's a little what's our guy that we love? Time Bandits and 12 Monkeys. You know who why we do this all day. We'll be yelling
don't you have a thing there?
I do, but I can't. I will get to it later. But yeah, that kind of feel where you're like
surrealism.
Very much, but you're in a world that there are familiar things, but this can't be taking place on the same planet I live on. So I looked it up, and sure enough, the guy who created it, I did not write his name, now I should have, created a television show that I loved. It was on for one season on ABC's called Pushing Daisies.
Oh, I remember that show. Yeah.
So he is a baker that has some ability as a child. He finds out that he can raise the dead. If he touches them, they come to life.
Yeah.
He now solves murders with a private detective and the love of his life that he brought back to life that she doesn't know she's been brought back to life. And it's like full of color and wonderful.
Yeah, it was
very bright,
almost
vibrant.
pastel, kind of Easter colory. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
While this very dark subject is going on.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, that's it. I loved it. It feels like almost like a modern day fairy tale.
Cool.
It's so good. I thought I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's fantastic.
Nice.
Some shows I've been watching. One's on HBO called The Dark Wizard. It's about a rock climber named Dean Potter. He actually invented, he called it freebasing.
Yes. Yeah,
so this is where you would free climb with a parachute on.
Yeah.
So that if you fell, you could perhaps live.
Glide down.
Hopefully.
They do this off of El Cap.
Oh, many places.
Yeah.
And now what this actually goes into is what you start to learn is he clearly had a lot of mental problems. Battled depression from a young age. He had tons of fear of death, but also facing it was this like adrenaline rush that made him love life even more.
Yeah.
But if he wasn't facing it, then suddenly he became depressed. It's very interesting. It also interferes with this, or actually intersects with a guy that I don't think most people would know his name. It's Alex Honnold, but he is he's the rock climber most people would probably know. He just did that Netflix thing where he climbed up that building in Sri Lanka or whatever.
In China.
China. Is it China? Okay. So
or Singapore, one of those. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, no offense to our
Somewhere in Asia.
Asian neighbors.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, so this weird thing where it's like, in a way, Dean Potter was this dope smoking spiritual climber.
Yeah.
And along comes the Holland guy, and he's more of this mathematical. I've learned to not be afraid of anything because it's just a stupid emotion, and it's I'm probably on the spectrum somewhere,
Yeah,
and so I can just put it aside and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And this kid comes along and he's just like blowing through his records, climbing every mountain that he's still attempting to do. He's dealing with that plus his own things. It's very interesting. There's one more part. It's a 4-part series on HBO. Okay. Very interesting and awesome. I mean, just amazing footage of these guys free climbing shit that I swear to God, I'm at home and I'm sweating mainly because I'm fat, but also because you're just like, you couldn't give me $1 billion to do one of these fucking things. Dude.
I can't see at all.
Oh,
but when I saw that, well, I didn't see it. But when I was listening to the gentleman that you mentioned right now climbing the building,
yeah.
Man, I could have sworn I must have shit my pants like 3 or 4 times in succession.
Oh no! And again, we're talking about free. That means there's no rope,
no ropes, no nothing.
You're just your hands and your feet, your legs, your arms,
and your will to keep going.
Yeah, to not die.
Yeah,
you know, like Jesus. He also was doing stuff like tightrope walking, essentially between things with no chain. Oh, yeah, no. He didn't see it as so much as a daredevil thing. It was more of a spiritual thing. He hung out with a bunch of dope smoking kind of hippie dudes.
My type of guy.
Well, yeah, no, and he's not to say that it's bad. It's just to say like, these guys didn't take it seriously. They didn't see it as a money thing.
Sure.
The Holland guy comes in, and by the way, they all at some point did have to take some money because you can't just live in fucking Yosemite forever, But very interesting. I like I said, I'm very looking.
There's 2 things that you've mentioned so far that I think Amy would enjoy. Both of them have to do with climbing, because she is now getting into rock climbing.
Oh, interesting. No,
and
God,
so
no.
there was a show based on El Capitan, with what's his name, Mark Ruffalo, I think, on HBO. Where we saw it, and she said, "I want to do that now."
Not in a million years.
Here's the thing: where I thought Dark Wizard was going to be about me, it's going to be about her climbing all this shit, but also Apex, which you previously mentioned, is also going to be her pushing me off a mountain at some point, I think.
Well, yeah, again, these are like, look, man, to those who can do it, fantastic. And the view is amazing, and the feat of it is unbelievable. The idea that it is literally just you holding yourself onto a rock. Their hands look like fucking sausages, their fingers, Yeah, just unbelievable, and just
mine do too. That's why I chew my nails.
But it's a very interesting story, and it's something that I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm into free climbing. I just thought, okay, this could be it. Where are we going with this? And spoiler alert, I'm not. I mean, the guy's been dead since 2015, but he died. He eventually died in a skydiving accident. Doing that. That one where it looks like they have wings and they can do it. Like he got into that, and there was an accident, but it was which I felt better about because they do that shit where he's like climbing the rock and they're playing this music that's like, I don't want to watch this man fall to his death. I really do not. Please. But very much enjoyed it. Another show that I am currently binging big time, Jack Ryan on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah.
This is with John Krasinski from The Office.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Fantastic himself.
Yeah. And Wendell Pierce from The Wire. Also was he was just in the new Superman. He played the guy who's in charge of the Daily News or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Wendell Pierce, especially from The Wire. Wire is one of my all-time favorite shows. He's great at this thing's awesome. It's so good. If you like Clear and Present Danger, Hunt for Red October, all those, I cannot recommend this enough. It is great action. They clearly put some money into this because they are literally going to these places. I mean, just because it says Budapest, I wouldn't know one way or the other. It could be Cleveland. I'm just simply saying, you can tell they are traveling with this shit.
Yeah.
And, every season's just a new thing. And you get to watch him evolve from this, I'm just an analyst, to suddenly being a guy who's out in the field all the time, Yeah. Really cool. I'm really, really loving it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the last thing I watched, as we were talking with the Down to Fuck St. Louis, that I told you, the guy created another show called
Patriot. Yeah.
So that Sunday, I said, you know what? I'm done talking about it. I want to check this thing out and see what it is. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really, really good. Something like I've never seen before. Very dark humor.
Yeah.
The only two people in it that I think most people would know, Kurtwood Smith from RoboCop and 70 Show.
Yep.
I love him in this thing. It's unlike you've ever seen him in anything else. I gotta like in certain ways. I never watched the 70 Show, but I mean, we all love him as the bad guy in RoboCop, but it's very one-dimensional. You get to see him do some stuff that I've just not seen him do in other shows, and I thought it was really cool. The other one that most people would probably know, his name Terry Quinn.
Lost.
He was the bad guy in Lost.
He was also the stepfather in the old horror movie. The stepfather. Yeah,
I think he'd prefer the Lost part.
Yeah, I know.
So, if you'll bear with me. Ostensibly, if you were to watch, what is this show about? A CIA operative is trying to keep Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Now, this happens during the Obama.
Tale.
This happens during the Obama administration. To its credit, this is although here we are with a rerun, but this is taking part during Obama's administration.
Yeah,
that would be the tagline. It is so much more than that. And if you'll bear with me, I'm not going to tell the entire episode, but I'll give you a snapshot of what this show is really about.
Sure.
The guy shows up because what the type of CIA operative he is, they say at the beginning, is called a NOC. It stands for something. Essentially what it is that CIA operatives get hired on to regular Joe jobs that allow them to travel overseas incognito, and people don't know that they're CIA agents. So he goes to get a job at a place that makes piping because this company is trying to get a contract with Iran. And it will allow him to travel to Iran, but more importantly at this point, Luxembourg, and it won't look suspicious.
Right.
So you catch this guy, as soon as you see him, he is now running towards the interview, like sprinting like he's late. And you're like, well, that's not a good start, Goes to the interview, he completely tanks it.
Nice.
And you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck? Because he needs this job. He's got to do it, right? He's walking out, and he hears them say, well, that was kind of disappointing, but, we got the other guy, James Wong, the Asian guy. He'll do fine. So now he hears this. So now he's got that information. Now you see him jogging through the parking lot because he sees him. And he's talking to him. He's, hey, man, how did your interview go? He goes, oh, it went really well. Yeah, man. I went really well. How about you? He goes, not so well. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, man. And he goes, yeah. He goes, do you think you'll take this job? And the guy says, I got a lot of offers, but this one's probably the best. I do. I think I'm going to take it. And he's like, oh. Now, this whole time, they're walking towards the sidewalk. Yeah. Now they're at the sidewalk, and he goes, oh, okay. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. He shoves the guy, and just as he does, a truck comes by, hits him about 40 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Now he's back in the office sitting at a desk with a secretary, and he just looks at her and he goes, so that's pretty much it. I got the job. She's like, yeah. Just a few more things, mainly paperwork. Oh, and this. Hands him a piss cup. Well, what we've already learned is between missions, he's been hanging out in Amsterdam to cool out. Yeah. And while in Amsterdam, as they say,
you will partake.
He Amsterdam. So he's now going, oh, shit, what do I do?
Who plays the guy?
I did not write down his name. I've never seen him in anything else. I looked at his IMDb. He's been in certain things. Another one of these guys also. I believe he's Australian. Playing an American.
Yeah.
By the way, sings, I won't get into that. Just to say, as his father points out, he copes with his stress by writing folk songs about his missions.
That's cool.
And then the dad goes, they're pretty good too, I gotta say. Anyway, so he goes into the bathroom. He's standing, it's just a row of stalls.
Yeah.
And he looks down and he sees a guy that was in the meeting with him. He sidles up next to him and pretty much tells him everything. Here's the reason I need you to piss. I need this job. And the guy who will remain with us, who's a complete moron, but loyal to a fault, just goes, you're telling me America needs my piss? And he's like, yeah, man, America needs your piss. He's like, I'll do it. He's like, appreciate it, dude. So now he goes walking over to the sink to wash his hands. And he's thinking, all right, I've closed every gap, right? I got the job. He's going to piss for me. What else could go possibly wrong? As he's washing his hands, a nightstick rolls out of a stall up to his heel. And he's like, what the? Bends over to pick it up and then looks in the mirror. And now the door is open and this giant man is standing by the stall. Looks, he's walking toward, he's out of focus. He's coming up. Now by the time it's not eye to eye. He's looking up. This guy's about 6'5", about 300 pounds.
Yeah.
White guy looking at him. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have dropped my nightstick while I was sitting in that stall the entire time." And he
So he heard the
Yeah, of course. He hands him the fucking nightstick, and he realizes, oh, shit, now this guy's going to blackmail me.
Yeah.
And this is the show. This is what keeps... Now, the thing that's great is he's not incompetent at his job. He's actually very good at his job.
Yeah.
But it's the other shit around it that keeps happening. Because you find out later, yeah, why did he show up late? Because
Right.
the CIA gave him the wrong fucking address. And this just keeps happening. It's 2 seasons. It's the same mission through all of them.
Yeah.
And it just ends with a beautiful bow. It also deals with, quite frankly, some bigger issues. He is dealing with PTSD. He is also having a tough time. He's married. He feels like he's lying to his wife. It's also, I think, trying to tackle, though in the most extreme way, what families can ask of each other, because again, his father is the one who asks him to go on these missions because he works for the CIA and he's the top guy, and his brother is a congressman for Texas who also helps his brother from time to time and his father, but he's not the stud in any way, shape, or form. He's just a regular dude.
He's the politician.
Yeah,
He's not the operator.
and he helps his brother, and the other part is they all very much love each other.
Right.
But how much are you willing to do for family? How much can family sometimes ask for too much from you?
Yeah,
Obviously, there's
yeah.
a big difference between can you help me move a couch and can you kill an Iranian scientist? But it just I gotta say I really went into it with some hype from what I had heard, and I gotta say it really did live up to it. I'm not saying it's the greatest show ever made or anything like that, but it's very different. It works really well. Each episode, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, 2 seasons, you're in, you're out. I mean, I binged the shit out of it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and so many times where you just think like, at one point he gets 2 of his fingers shot off. And then they go, well, fuck it, who gives a shit? And the guy goes, well, sorry, Dad, I got to tell you, I was fingerprinted when I was 14. So if they find those fingers, they're going to check my fingerprints and they'll find. He's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, well, we stole your car to get beer when we were 14, and I didn't really want to let you know. And his dad just goes, no, I understand. That was a cherry car. I totally understand. Well, we're going to have to go back and get those fingers. And, of course, that starts a whole other fucking thing.
Mission.
You know? And like I said, it's just anything that can go wrong seems to, and every time he thinks he's dug himself out of a hole, it's just two more deeper hole, that he goes to. But really enjoyed it. Anyway, called Patriot. It's on Amazon if you have it.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. Fun little watch. But yeah, other than that, nothing else. Those are the ones I've been watching. How about yourself?
I decided to revisit Gotham City.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I went and watched. I got to start with the Christopher Nolan trilogy. I really got caught up in The Dark Knight because it is such a good, perfect movie. I think.
Yeah. No, it's.
I think Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker, like, there is a reason why he gets so much credit for that. Like, it's so good.
And you find out, too, now we find out more and more how many things he brought to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just little things that were just like, hey, what if we did this? And wow, what it added.
There are other little theories about, like, the background of the Joker, who he is outside of the Joker, or who he was.
Right.
Where some people think, more and more that he might have been like an ex-soldier. Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And when I apply it to the movie as I'm watching it, it just hits harder.
I'm with
I think,
you.
Like, so going with that whole being an ex-soldier, when he says the line of like, he threatens to get rid of a mayor and people freak out. But when people shoot, a gangster or a truckload of soldiers and it's just according to the plan, then nobody cares, right? Like that, I'm just like, God, man, this dude is...
He loves chaos.
He loves chaos. Yeah, yeah. And, the big payoff at the end is that the city doesn't want chaos like he thinks it does. You know, like, that's such a great fucking, like, just killing the character of who he thinks he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, it's such a good movie. And, of course, I had to end it out with Dark Knight Rises with Bane, who I think Dark Knight Rises gets too much, like, flack for the good movie.
Oh, really?
I
did not know this. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it just because, they don't like some of the plot holes in it, Which there are some that are really
Sure,
hard
but
to like ignore.
I don't
you
know, man. I think the performances are so strong in it. It's a great way to kind of tie it all together with the
Yeah.
first two, you know?
Yeah, no,
I
I
love it.
agree.
I love
I
that
love it
movie.
too.
And what a sinister bad guy.
Dude, Bane, who is not just as smart as Bruce Wayne,
Right.
but physically more
Right.
imposing. Like he literally breaks Batman.
Yeah.
You know, which is true even in the comics. Like he breaks his back in the comics.
Well, I love the parts of him. The two parts that always stick out to me is you understand his power when the plane is going to crash and
Yeah.
the one dude starts to, he goes, "No, brother, one of us must die." And the guy's like, "You got it, bro.
Yep.
Not a problem."
Yeah.
And then when the other one, he's just like, "Oh, you think because you have money that gives you power?"
Yes,
You know, and you're just
yeah.
like, you realize like he understands what, and that's the scary part.
Yes.
It's not
yeah.
not just physically what he can do to you,
Right.
that he is 12 steps ahead of you, brother. Like,
Well,
don't even try.
when
you know?
Batman tries to use all his gadgets against him in the sewers,
Right.
and he's like, you know, like
Yeah.
you were also in this thing that I'm a part
Yes.
of, but not only were you a part of it, I am the League of
Right,
Shadows, right?
right.
And it's just like, oh,
Oh,
okay,
shit.
yeah, it's just like, god damn,
You're like,
like,
you're teaching me my own tricks, bro.
Yeah.
I know what card I picked. We're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's
crazy.
such a great fucking
really is.
movie. That whole trilogy is
And I didn't see
beautifully
the
done.
twist coming. I really did not see the twist coming with
Yeah.
the girl betraying him. I
Yeah,
never
I didn't
saw that
either.
coming.
Yeah, that was awesome. Of course, Anne Hathaway is Catwoman, which you know they leave little tidbits even in Dark Knight where they're like, oh, you know, I was fighting dogs. Well, will it protect me from a cat?
Mm.
And then the next movie has fucking Catwoman.
Yeah.
Like I love all that
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
you know. So then I went from Gotham City into the wrestling arena,
Oh, right on.
and I saw a 4-episode mini series on Netflix called Hogan
Oh, I did too.
Real American.
Good. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
For a thing that kind of opens up where he's like, oh, this is not.
This is not who I am. It's a character.
Well, no. Was the. These weren't his words, but essentially what he was saying. This isn't some kind of mea culpa. This isn't like I'm trying
Yeah.
to change my image. Like
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this
Yeah.
was.
They left out.
I was surprised to see no Hogan as a producer because I really felt like that for a while there.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
like they're in control of this.
Well, it's a WWE production.
And again, but a lot of these documentaries, you see the producer and you go, oh, well, they produce. Of course, okay. They
Sure.
knew what the questions were. They knew.
Yeah.
They put a direction to this.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah. This was.
This left out a lot of stuff. Like
Oh.
this was a way of trying to not just whitewash the legacy of Hulk Hogan
To a
but
degree, yes.
I think they were trying to. Maybe they might have known, like, hey, this dude's getting close. I mean, he was an old dude already.
Oh,
right?
listen, to see him kind of hobbling around with that cane there still was a part of me that it was sad to see
Sure.
for what he once was. You know what I mean?
Him coming on in the beginning saying that, like, I'm not Hulk Hogan. That's a character.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
persona.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. All right.
And
Being an adult,
Please.
I understand that.
yeah.
But
Thank
you're selling this
yes, you are.
to children.
Yes, you are.
You're selling this primarily to children.
Yes, you are.
Right?
Like
You're
the vitamin thing.
The
they were-
vitamin
yeah.
thing, the whole
Yeah.
thing, the being a good American
Yeah,
hero, but
yeah.
all that shit,
Yeah.
right? You're selling this to children
Mm-hmm.
so that they can grow up to be good people in and of their own. But when the reality of the person
Right.
comes out, and there are a lot of realities that
Yes.
came out, like they didn't mention the Gawker stuff, which I'm sure they couldn't because of the whole lawsuit thing and him winning. They didn't mention.
But they did mention it.
Well, it was mentioned, but it wasn't. I mean, that was a big.
Oh,
deal,
yeah. I
right?
mean, they
Like,
really didn't go into. I mean, that was a weird thing mainly because there was a party that goes, I'm kind of with Hulk here. You can't be putting out a sex tape, Dick. Why would you do that? And then
Right.
you're like, good for him, free speech and, your privacy issues and so
Yes.
forth. And then, oh, by the way, here's some audio. And you go, oh, wow. What a
Yeah,
piece of shit.
exactly. Right. So then there's the audio
Yeah.
stuff. There's the
They
stuff
didn't do
with
anything about
Bubba.
the union busting either. That I thought was
That's
interesting.
another one, which was surprising that fucking Jesse the Body Ventura was in this.
I think it
and
was,
also didn't mention it.
but it wasn't in there.
right.
Let's give him credit where credit is due because he also was very happy to go vitamins orally or they take them anally.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's like, yeah, that motherfucker didn't take vitamins. He took fucking steroids, dude.
Yeah.
With Jesse, the thing I took away from that was it never when he talked about Hogan in negatively, he always meant Terry, like
Yeah.
the person.
Yeah.
The only time I heard a part where it was a positive, and I got what he meant, was that character and what it did for WWE,
Sure.
including his career.
Sure.
He did a thing that no one's ever been able to repeat. And
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
to say that it was seeing him pass and seeing him retire and so forth was
Yeah.
a way to say, oh, my era is definitely over.
Over. Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
But he is a person I think definitely knows how to separate the character and what it achieved for WWE, but what a scumbag human being.
But
Terry
I also think
Bollea,
when
you
you're
know.
doing a maybe not so much a tell-all,
Yeah.
but even just a documentary,
Yeah.
you should at least include why this particular person,
Yeah.
you know, why he's even in there, because their relationship is kind of not founded, but it does comprise
Oh.
the fact that, you know, Jesse the Body Ventura was trying to unionize
Yes.
the wrestler, and Hulk Hogan ratted him out.
And the
You know?
the only thing I will say is, number one, we don't know what was said and what was edited. Number two, I know it was definitely in that WWE one that they did with Vince McMahon.
Yes,
That got brought
one-
up in there because
one
that
did,
was
yeah.
a big revelation for a lot of people who didn't know that story.
That's also when Hogan and McMahon didn't see eye to eye.
Exactly.
So,
And I do think maybe they didn't put it in there because they felt it had already been touched on. There's a million reasons why.
Here's what I think. I think at that point Hogan and McMahon were at the odds.
I gotcha.
Right.
I see. Yes.
In
yes,
this
yes,
one,
yes.
they weren't.
It's very clear. Yes.
Right?
So
Because
they may
Hogan
have asked
came
to
back-
say keep that out.
Keep that out. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They mentioned it in passing almost, his whole Japanese career,
Yeah.
which I felt really cheapened by the whole thing. Because
Well.
if you've got WWE money, especially now money,
Yeah.
which this documentary I guess was filmed last year, you could go back and get the footage. You can pay for the footage and the rights and all that because you're gonna help promote
Oh,
your own company, because he always came back to the WWE. You know?
and again, you never know what story they're trying to tell with I mean, again, a documentary. Look, not everybody's Ken Burns. I wish they were. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also, it's like, you never know what was edited, why they didn't left the certain put thing. I think the narrative that I took from it
Yeah.
over and over again was he always thought he could separate the two, but didn't separate the two, and then also didn't realize the responsibility of what being Hulk Hogan really was all about. You know what I mean?
Well,
In
he liked
certain ways.
attention. He
Well,
admitted it,
he
right? He
ultimately-
admitted
I mean, yes.
he liked the attention. He liked being celebrity.
He liked having the power.
yeah, the
Like,
power.
how many matches did he fuck over for other guys? How many
Oh,
times
yeah,
did he go
yeah.
in and say, "Well, if you want me back, then these things have to happen for
Yep.
me." That whole bullshit with like, "Oh, Bret the Hitman Hart isn't the guy that brings people around." Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's bullshit. And over and over, his ego.
Yep.
That's and in some ways, who could blame him, right? Because you get this like, holy shit, he really like you forget what a celebrity he truly became at
Sure.
one point.
Yeah.
And if you got no one around you to pop that fucking ego every once in a while and kind of bring you back to the ground,
Yep.
like, yeah, he gets self-inflated part of himself. You know what I mean? And it overruled everything. And it's ultimately destroyed
Sure.
for some of us who he really ever was.
Well, I mean, it's the case of flying too close to the sun,
Absolute. Oh, in every sense of the word.
where
man.
he was at one point. He was not just in wrestling, but he had his cartoon.
Yes.
He had his movies,
The merchandise
the
alone.
merchandise, right? Like he was everywhere.
He is a
everywhere.
name that you can say and pretty much everyone knows who you're talking about.
Yeah.
That alone is massive. And another thing they pointed out, which is very true, through his character,
Yeah.
McMahon was able to change what wrestling was.
Yes.
As
yeah.
he said, the beer drinkers and the blood lovers no longer showed up. It was family members in the front row
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's why WWE was able to achieve what it achieved.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
all the while behind closed doors, it's not about that at all.
No.
These they didn't care about. He didn't give a shit about the kid. Like, how could you tell me to vitamins and prayers? You're doing fucking cocaine off your wife's tits and doing steroids, which
here's
by the
another-
way, you're free to do. I don't give a shit what
Yeah.
you do with your life. But you are portraying this. You could say, "Oh, it was a character." I don't care, dude. You saw the impact. You should have seen
At one
the
point,
impact
you
that
need
character was having.
You need to reconcile what you're
Yes.
putting out and who you are.
Which I think is what they were trying to show, is that maybe he was finally coming around. But
I don't think so because
I don't
even
think he did either. I
even
don't.
in the end,
No.
like when he's old Hogan,
Yeah.
he still you can tell
Oh.
by what he's saying. He misses the spotlight.
Of course he does. How
You
do
know, the-
it's a drug.
Here's another thing that they left out. They showed Nick Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
a Nick.
Oh,
that I'm not,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the whole accident
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
and Hulk Hogan was probably the only one who stood by his son. Which you want to say a good father, whatever.
I
But I think there are debts that should
Yes.
have been paid.
listen.
You know,
If my son murders some people, I love him. He's my son, but he needs to go to jail.
Yeah,
He needs
yeah.
to pay the price for murdering a person.
right.
Period. End of story. I'm not going to use my wealth to try to get him out of paying consequences.
Exactly. Yeah. So and then all of a sudden, I forget his wife's name. What? Linda.
Yes.
She's a ex-wife who loves him, and you know, to some extent, it almost came off like she misses him.
And I think there is
Where,
something to be said for that. Yeah.
which I'm sorry, but when that whole relationship was dragged
Yeah. And listen.
across the coals as
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
you can't play this character.
Well,
I'm not gonna buy it.
Again, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think she's playing anything. I think, look, her husband fucking cheated on her with his daughter's fucking best friend or whatever,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Like, by the way, who's not in the documentary at all.
At all.
The daughter has nothing to do
Yeah,
with him.
she took herself out of the
She
will.
very
even.
much did,
Yeah.
and you only get her voice, and that's it. That says a lot.
Yep,
That says
yep.
a lot. I do think what Linda is doing is going back to the past when things were good, and that's ultimately what she misses. You're not married to somebody that long that you don't necessarily love, and I do think maybe she laments some of that. I think she has every right not to be married to him, and it should have been pissed.
No, I don't.
And good for her fucking that 18-year-old.
I don't.
You know?
That's not the part that I'm like.
I gotcha.
Mention or talking about.
Okay.
I'm saying, don't pretend like that's who you are still. Had this not happened, because that's not true. Because that whole the whole when the show came on, I unfortunately had to fucking watch it because I was a fan
I
of
watched.
Hulk Hogan,
I definitely
you know?
watched some episodes of it.
So like,
Everybody was getting a reality show at
yeah,
that point.
yeah. But like Hogan Knows Best was one that I was like, I like this dude. Like I've liked this guy
Yeah.
when I was a kid. So I'm interested in see what his family's like. I had known who his wife was already.
Sure.
I didn't really care about his kids.
No, but
You know, but like to see Hulk Hogan as a family man
Yes.
after presenting himself as a good guy.
yeah.
Right?
I got you.
I thought not that I was this naive, but I thought maybe he is some of that good person and maybe he'll be a good dad. And to his credit,
Yeah.
he did want his daughter to make it
Oh,
right.
He loves his kids. There's
loves
no
his
doubt.
kids, yeah. So when the husband and wife thing is kind of playing out,
Mhm.
even in the show, I'm like, ugh, this is not a good situation.
Well,
Like,
and I think we all know those reality shows. I don't know what it is. If you're married, you won't be.
you won't be, yeah.
These
I mean,
things tear people apart. man.
Sure, but I also think that relationship there, which was
Oh.
built on, physicality and maybe,
There's a lot of things I think it was built on,
partaking-
but she touches on it. You're right. She touches on it even before the reality show. Some of what she wanted was him to be home because he was never home. And
Sure.
when he was, he moped around because he wasn't the superstar anymore. Everybody didn't hound for his autograph. And I think she kind of thought, well, maybe this is my moment to shine, but also maybe this will bring him around. And it had the absolute opposite effect on all of that.
which
you know?
is that story contradicts stuff that she's came out in the past and said.
Well,
You know, so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't believe fully this version of Hogan's ex-wife. Again, Linda, I think her name
yeah,
is.
it is.
I don't fully believe it
I-
because she's come out plenty of times, and this is even
Mhm.
before the Hogan Knows Best stuff,
Mhm.
where she liked the spotlight. She liked the
Oh.
money that it came with. She
No
liked
doubt. Yes, of
the
course.
access to all these other
No
frivolous
doubt.
things, right? And when you're telling me at even in those stages who you are, I'm gonna believe you, right?
Right.
If you want to rewrite that story at the end when the other person's not around and they're trying to give him his last flowers, or as it were,
Yeah.
like okay, but we also have documented proof where you told us that this guy is not who you thought he was and who he's portraying. himself to
hindsight
be.
becomes 20/20, and sometimes we put cloudy 2020
Sure.
glasses on, and we don't want to speak ill of the dead, and on and on. You see this all the time, and I understand that
This
to a
is-
degree. And it's look, she's thinking about her kids maybe a little bit too, but I'm with you. Look, it's easy to romanticize things when you're
Sure.
away from them for so long.
Yeah.
You start to forget the bad parts of it
Sure.
also, and maybe the lament is that there really was a love there and a great relationship very early on, and she's never found that again.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? It's divorce is difficult for anyone, especially
Sure.
when your husband cheats on you. That can't imagine. And with
Yeah,
your
and that's-
daughter's best friend, like that's got to be just like devastating in every sense of the word.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I'm with you. I watched it and somewhat begrudgingly. But at the same time, I really wanted to see how are they going to portray this. And it's just with each episode, I just hated him more and more.
Yeah, same. I was
he's
just like,
such a
this guy's
scumbag, dude,
this
you
dude's
know?
a piece of shit.
He is, man.
They left out the fact that I know they mentioned it when he got booed out at his comeback for the Netflix
Oh, I
comeback.
loved it. I thought that was for him to try to pretend like it was something that it wasn't. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they're fucking booing you because I like. The one that I was just like, I fast forwarded every time they showed Donald Trump. I don't need to hear your fucking mouth.
Which is another thing. This is a sitting American president.
Right. Doing a WWE fucking.
A promo.
I know.
Right.
It's-
Which is fucking embarrassment
It
for
is.
the government, first of all.
Yes.
Because, like, dude, get the fuck off camera. Second,
Yes.
Secondly, like,
It's-
you're talking about this like you're a part of this whole universe.
Or that you were talking about some great American who did something.
That's what
for
I'm saying.
somebody.
Like
this guy did nothing. In the end, he benefited himself only. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
let's look. He had a great career. It was fun when you were a kid. Hulkamania. I was there. I loved it.
Yeah.
On and on. But let's not turn this into some American hero.
Right.
Like he's not. He didn't. The reality is, we've come to find out he didn't do shit for barely anybody. Now listen, they showed him with the Make-A-Wish kids and stuff like that. I believe he's genuine in
that
those.
part.
I
yes.
think he absolutely.
Even though he lied at one point. I don't know if you know this story. So he had an album in the late 80s or something, and according to the story, he wrote a song on there for a child who had cancer.
Okay.
Who had gone to one of the WrestleMania events.
Mm-hmm.
He met the kid, and then when he went back to greet the kid after Hogan's match,
Mm-hmm.
the kid was no longer there, and he was told, "Oh, the kid needed hospitalization throughout the match, and eventually he ended up dying." Now that story is bullshit.
Well, if there's one thing the documentary teaches us, this guy's full of shit.
Yes,
he lies
but
a
here,
lot.
so here's the thing. Again, all these little details you find out throughout the years, right? He apparently wrote that album with, I want to say, Jimmy Hart and one other person.
Okay.
On the basis that story about the cancer kid was the main motivation. He says, I want to give something back to the kids,
Sure,
blah, 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 But the story that initially drove him to write that album was bullshit.
Yeah.
This dude just wants to be a fucking musician.
Right.
He's a failed
and
fucking musician.
Yeah, well,
right?
again, and again, this, I mean, the balls to hear about the steroids thing and then go, Arsenio, help me out, brother.
Yes.
Put me on your show so I
never
can
did
lie
anything.
to America.
Yes, yeah.
What a fucking asshole,
Dude,
man.
here's another thing, and I know they're not going to do it, but we're aware of the lies Hulk Hogan told throughout the years.
Yeah.
One of which was that he was Metallica's bassist before Cliff Burton.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I remember there was. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, dude, you might have been a bar rock band bassist in Florida,
Right.
but you're not Metallica's bassist. That is something that is known. It's something that you've lied up until when you couldn't lie about it
Well, yeah, when
anymore.
the internet essentially became in, you could,
Even further, because he was still going on podcasts.
What I mean
and
is,
telling
like,
this.
once you could start cross-checking all these things,
Yeah, right.
Suddenly,
So
all
it's-
these fish stories go away because the fish wasn't that big when you caught it.
Yeah, I like how, like, even for some of his biggest matches, and granted, some of these people are no longer alive.
Yeah.
But he wrestled The Undertaker.
Yeah.
He wrestled The Rock.
Right.
He wrestled Stone Cold.
Right.
Like, these people are not in this documentary for a
I
reason.
don't- For a like I thought that was interesting where they're talking to Triple H, and he said when he had passed
Yeah.
that he gathered everyone, said this is what we're going to do, and he said, and obviously it doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. Anyone who does not wish to participate,
Yes. Yeah.
not a problem. We totally understand.
Yep.
Can you imagine having to say that
Yeah. Yeah.
about a guy who built your industry?
The
But
whole industry.
well,
yeah.
he is, and another person that I think I will definitely mention when we get into music. It's another person that you had the world by the in the palm of your hand and you pissed it away.
Yeah.
The reality is that Hulk Hogan couldn't. The Hulk Hogan character couldn't hide who Terry actually was.
Yeah.
And when Terry finally came out, I was tired of hiding my politics. Well, how'd that work out for you?
Cool. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So it is to say, it's just like in a way, it's not one that I necessarily want to say I feel bad, but it is this tragic story of what you could have done with all that you had.
He had,
you know, look what Batista does. Look what.
Yeah,
by the way,
go.
Bret the Hitman Hart ain't the champion, motherfucker. Bret the Hitman Hart is twice the man you will ever be.
He literally is the best there was, best there will be, best there
I
ever
mean,
was.
so to me, it's just like, so that's just jealousy.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, Bret the Hitman Hart has always been a stand-up dude. And I promise you, when he died, you're not going to hear a lot of buts. There's not going to be a lot of, there is that, because he doesn't have to worry about having those skeletons in his closet. Like he doesn't need to do a documentary like this that does this whole little, wait, let me sit down and explain myself.
Right.
Like,
I also didn't really like how he was portrayed, like being I get it, he's a kind of spurned wrestler, he's bitter, but to put him in a fucking bar, you know?
Yeah, and it is that thing where, but I did like him when he's just like, yeah, fuck him, he's a bastard. You know,
I did like that. Yeah, he's always been honest.
Yeah, and I love that about Bret. You know what I mean? And it's just, listen, I love watching documentaries, but you get some of these that really don't. They feel like propaganda films more than they feel like documentaries.
Honestly, that's why I cut back on a lot of documentaries.
And I understand that. No. And like I said, one of the things I do with a lot of these is go, okay, who produced this?
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's going to tell me more than anything else.
Yeah.
You know. But some, with this one, it was just kind of like I did want to kind of see where they were going to go. Wasn't surprised to see where they went. You know.
Yeah.
And I just think like. It doesn't change my mind in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a disgusting figure, especially later on in life when he was more than willing to tell us all what he really felt. Like if I had to hear him say taking America back one more time, I was about to turn the TV. What does that even mean, you racist fuck? You know what I mean? Like you don't even know what I mean. I think you do know what that means, but you don't want to tell people what you really mean by saying that. You know, selling his beer and on
American beer.
Yeah. To me, it's just. So you did whatever you had to do to fucking be in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
Because don't tell me you're like a conservative. You're fucking doing blow and you're doing steroids. You're fucking chicks left and right and doing all the things that a conservative would say are bad, bad, bad.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that shit.
Yep.
You caught up in masculinity. And the other part is, he seems like one of those guys like, well, why do you like Donald Trump? Well, he likes me. Oh, so you just like anybody if they liked you.
Yeah.
It didn't really, you know what I mean? And it's just like, like I said, all in all, I was hoping you had seen it. I forgot to put it on my list, but I don't feel like I wasted my time, but I also know you didn't change my mind about this guy. If anything, you just solidified it,
Yep.
Some of it kind of broke up my childhood a little bit to realize this was actually going on the entire time. I thought he was this great dude that was, making good movies and being a kick-ass wrestler.
When I saw the production team behind it, I knew it was going to be fluff.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see to what extent,
Yeah.
And I got my answer, so it's, I know my mind wasn't going to be changed because everything that I knew about him has already happened.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's like,
I wasn't.
It's like, you're not going to.
There would have had to be a massive revelation.
Yeah, you're not going to be like, that wasn't cocaine. It was actually sugar.
I mean, he would have literally had to just do a whole episode where like, wow, I really fucked up and I don't support Trump. And I, but beyond that, it was just to see how are other people handling all this. Right. And look, and everybody's relationship with these people are complicated and different,
Sure.
I was bummed to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan crying over him, but I also understood it.
Sure.
Like, I don't think he cares one way or the other about
I think
Terry.
a lot of those folks don't live affected by stuff that would affect you and I.
To a degree, and
because
but their relationship with him has always been about wrestling.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like we're not in the wrestling world, so like, whereas like the way politics goes or anything to do with that is going to affect you and me single-handedly, firsthand.
Yeah,
they're not, because they're in a bubble, as it were.
To a degree, yeah.
Where all they have to worry about is, one, are we going to win the next match?
Sure.
Two, where's my next hit gonna, where's my next gain gonna come in through, and am I gonna have enough money to get from A to B at this point, right?
It's like teammates on football teams and basketball teams. Like, look, all I'm figured, did we win? Can we win together as a team? I don't care what you do in your private life necessarily. You know what I mean? Right. And so in those ways, like I did understand their lament. I did understand where they were coming from.
Sure.
It was interesting, if nothing else, to see what is usually a very guarded type of like a sport, if you will, to see them when they're a little more willing to be who they are, and see Sergeant Slaughter not being Sergeant Slaughter, but being a human being and talking about his experience.
I think
I always like that.
That's that. Yeah, me too. I think ever since like stuff like Dark Side of the Ring came out, and like all these other exposés on wrestling, especially, they don't have a choice. Because more and more too, wrestling moved to a format where it's kind of hard to have a character like that.
Yes.
Because, like, for instance, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns in and out of the ring.
Right.
You know? So, like,
reality has hit the WWF where before you could be a character.
A character, yeah.
And nobody knew that Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik took rented a car together so they could drink on the way to the next stadium. Yes. And again, it was a logical move made by them understanding we can't keep the illusion anymore.
Sure.
People are on to this shit.
Yeah, like
so let's change it a little.
We know that people know that this is,
fake.
Well,
but you know what I mean.
It's written. It's
scripted.
It's scripted. There you go. We know that's the case, but how are we going to keep getting people interested in this? Where people who watch the soap operas on TV daily, we're going to give them the same thing, but with just a bunch of muscles, sweat, and countouts.
Absolutely.
Right. So yeah, Hulk Hogan was a watch.
Yeah, no, it was. Again,
I
don't know who it was for.
Hogan aside, what have you been listening to?
I've continued. I have to officially say I think Great Falls has become my Neurosis, my Typo Negative, my Danzig, my where I find these bands and it's just I can't stop. I want to put it away, but I just keep going back to it. They are hitting a spot right now that I am just loving, and I have been on those 3 albums that I own have been on rotation quite a bit.
Nice.
Also excited to find out they have a new album, not just the compilation that they put, but apparently they finished recording a new album. So I'm very anxious to see when that comes out. Speaking of Typo Negative, I actually went back and visited some of mainly the last 2 albums. They never connected in the way the others did for me. And not to say I never listened to them or I don't know the songs, just say I just never really gave them as much time as I think they deserve. So I really went back with that, with like Life is Killing Me and Dead Again, and realizing just how fantastic those albums really are, and just how much I miss just Pete. And I see people have talked about, maybe Typo Negative should reunite. And it's like I don't know. I just don't.
They're going to, apparently.
I don't think you can do it. To me, that voice is so singular, and all those guys are talented. I love all those guys, and I know they all add to those records.
Yeah,
it's not just it's not just Pete. It's just to say that voice is so singular. I don't know, man.
Well, it's the thing we've said before, where replacing the vocalist in the band is a little bit tougher, right? Because
especially when you got a vocalist like him.
Like that. Yeah, when that's like, that became, much like with Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell became not just the voice, but the identity of the band.
To especially Pete. I mean, being 6'7" and dressing like a vampire all the time kind of does that for you. Yeah.
Doing all that shit, like you see the other folks in Typo Negative, and you're like, okay, cool. I know they were there.
Yeah, Kenny's a great backup singer, and he's an amazing guitar player. All those guys are great at what their job, but
I need the voice.
Yeah,
right. Like I need. It's kind of like if somebody came into Danzig, and said, I'm the new Danzig. Yeah, like,
nope.
No. I mean, we went through all that with Michael Graves already, so we don't.
So good on them. Do the thing. By all means, anything that keeps the Typo Negative name alive, I'm all for. But. Yeah, it was cool to go back, and I really, really enjoyed those. One that was getting, I guess it was a big deal at Coachella a couple of weekends ago. 9 Inch Noise.
I did see this.
So I listened to it. I want to check it out. Cool. I guess it's a collab with he's a German electronic guy, Boys Noise. Essentially, what do you call them? Remix versions of some 9 Inch Nails songs. They do a Soft Cell cover, and that's the other band that he did with his wife, the How to Destroy Angels.
Okay, yeah.
I liked it. It was really cool.
You saw the Coachella stuff?
No. I listened to it. It's you can they have it now. You can stream it.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So they had the audience at the beginning and maybe in between songs you hear them cheering, but for the most part, it sounds like you're listening to just a regular album. It doesn't feel like you don't experience the live part of it. I didn't, but I liked it. It was really cool. I was lucky enough Wednesday. I got to see Hedonist. They were great. They were absolutely fantastic. So obviously, I listened to some of them. Great fucking set. I've never seen anything. I've never seen it at all. They actually got put as the second to last band. So my assumption is they were going to Arizona the next day. So maybe it was just to try to get it was usually going to be 5 bands, and it was going to start at 8. One dropped out, so they put it to 4, and then Hedonist. So either way, I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Well, they finished playing, and nobody left, and everybody was like, one more, and they kind of like, all right, fuck it, let's do one more. I'd never seen that, 9 times, especially in smaller venues like that. That was fucking cool. I mean, I gotta say, for a Wednesday in Long Beach, motherfuckers showed up, and they were excited for them. I thought they sounded fantastic.
That is one I wanted to go to, and
believe me, if it was closer to you, I would have grabbed you, man. They were great. I gotta say, I have still been not all the time, but I'm still checking out that Dripping album. It's just, I'm just impressed by it more and more every time I listen to it. It's just so unlike anything else I particularly listened to, So I was really digging on that one. Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, I absolutely love her, and I love that. I went down a little rabbit hole with listening to a bunch of that stuff with them. Speaking of complicated people. David Allan Coe passed away, I believe Wednesday. Another person that exists in 2 worlds, despite the fact that people would like to pretend the other one didn't, but it did. No doubt one of country music's great singer-songwriters of all time. He's written some amazing songs. And one of its crazy characters, they've described him as the Ozzy Osbourne of country music. He had piercings and would wear funny masks and dye his hair, and he came with the outlaw scene, and actually one of the few guys who truly was an outlaw in the sense that he really did serve prison time, real prison time. Amazing, like I said, wrote great songs, big hits for people. The one most people I think would know is "Take This Job and Shove It." He wrote that.
Yeah.
Later on in his career, he also wrote a very racist, homophobic, misogynist album that has titles I will never repeat.
Nor will I.
No, I hope no one does. In fact, quite frankly, of course, he pushed back when they came out, and people gave him shit for it about, the classic, how could I be a racist? My drummer's black, kind of thing. Like, really, bro? And again, I will say, I don't particularly think he's a racist. I think he made a racist album. I think he says some racist shit. But don't try to pretend you didn't. You fucking did. You released it, for fuck's sake. But I also think over the years he started to realize, to a degree, what this was going to do to his legacy, because they were I believe the story goes, no record company would touch him.
Right.
So he was selling them himself. You could get him at his shows. Eventually you couldn't get him at his shows at all, and he wasn't selling them anymore, but you could get bootleg copies of it in the back of magazines and shit. And at some point he pretty much disowned the entire thing. And pretended as if they didn't, because I think, quite frankly, maybe he grew up a little bit, and maybe he also saw how this was going to be attached to your legacy from now on, despite all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, the nicer articles were the complicated, controversial David Allan Coe. The more realistic ones were a guy who lives in 2 worlds, and to separate them isn't fair to anyone, including him. Sorry, David.
Yeah, I think with him passing, I saw a lot of people kind of giving him praise and stuff like that for who he was, and I get all that.
Yeah.
I didn't poo-poo their, but this is one where it's like, what you did.
Yes.
We
all know what he did. This is
exactly.
What's so crazy. It's like, he did it.
He did it.
Nobody put a gun to his head and made him write this record. He wrote the fucking thing.
This is the stuff like this is where I'm like, even if you were aware of what you did and tried to maybe not acknowledge it anymore, you could very also publicly,
Oh,
loudly say, I don't want to.
I
I fucked up.
and I will say, I don't know if that ever happened. I've yet to find anything.
I don't think he
I
did.
don't think it did. I think he instead tried to ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah.
His son, for those who may not know, he is the host of an incredible podcast that you should listen to after ours, called Cocaine and Rhinestones.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. People have brought this up to him when he was a little more available online. He did a lot of defending of his father, and I understand it's your dad, I got
Sure.
you, but in ways that were like, really, bro?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why can't you just say, look, my dad was wrong for doing that? It
Yeah.
was fucking bullshit, and he should have never fucking put that shit out.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, even if he thought it was funny in the moment, look what it attracted. Look at the assholes it brought to
Right.
his shows. Look at the people who didn't get it as a joke.
It's the
They thought it was like, hell yeah.
It's the
you know?
whole like Dave Chappelle thing that's going on
Right,
now. Like,
right.
I regret making these jokes because look at who my crowd is now.
Right. And it's like, and again, for people who are like, spare me, the man's dead. No, listen, I'm sorry. This is all part of
Yeah.
his legacy.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
You don't get to separate these two just because this part makes you uncomfortable.
It's like the Hulk Hogan thing.
There it is,
right?
100%. I'm sorry. This is part of his overall legacy.
Yeah.
And I think he recognized that. I think that's why he tried to distance himself from it. Sorry, David.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed listening to your songs. I put on a little best of kind of thing, and man, he's got some amazing songs. He really does. But there's always this thing in the back of my mind going, I can't believe this fucking moron put this stupid shit out.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
one of those ones like, I knew of those songs before I even knew who David Allen, because they would exist on the internet.
Yep.
And people would be like, can you believe this song? But people didn't necessarily know who not everybody.
Sure.
Certain groups absolutely did.
Yep, yep.
And then you find out and you're like, really, dude? And then more importantly, when you go to find, well, has he ever made amends? Has anybody confronted him on this? And you see the way they respond to it, you're like, really, man?
Yeah.
Here's
yeah.
an opportunity for you to go, fucking stupid, fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Don't ever buy those records. That's why I don't sell them. I'll never print them again. And you don't? Like, all right, bro. I don't know what to say.
You
Other-
had every opportunity to come clean.
Yeah.
Right? Like even if it was just meant like I was dumb
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I'm not
Yes.
going to do it anymore.
What? And by the way, he didn't. I
Right.
mean, that's the other thing. And again, I don't think there's any evidence within his life that you would show, like, oh, clearly a racist. Look what he did to that person or how he did
Right.
it. Like, no, you made a stupid thing that you probably thought was funny in the
Right.
moment. And it wasn't.
Like
You know?
I mean, like even that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why he would have done it, right?
and
But
again, there's a lot of, it could have been some drinking, some drugs. Some,
it could have been any of those. The fact is,
None of that
it
necessarily
came out,
excuses
right?
it either.
And he used language that
Yes.
was very much in favor by the people who think that
Definitely.
way, right? So, like you're putting out signals to
Yeah.
somebody,
Yes.
whether you mean it or not. You're
Yes.
still doing this.
Yes. And
No.
by the way, not everything you record needs to be fucking put out either.
Not everything,
Maybe you just
right.
record and go, okay, got that out of my system. Throw that away.
Sure,
And pray
sure.
to God nobody ever finds it. You know
But
what
the
I mean?
fact that like when you're confronted with
Yeah.
it, instead you double down,
very much
which
so.
is
Yes.
a thing that
or just avoid it altogether, because
Or
that's
avoid it.
eventually what it turned into. They
because
just
also
avoided
that's a more and more that we put our hindsight
it. I hear you.
glasses.
I hear
We want the stuff that we enjoy to
Yeah.
be put out by decent folks,
Well,
right?
it sucks that a guy dies like this, and I can't help but go, well, I have to think of both.
Yeah,
I want to just be able to go, one of our great singers-songwriters died, and if you've never heard him, do yourself a favor, listen to these songs. But
now
also
there's
this,
a caveat
right,
of like
by the way, if you're a person of color or if you're gay, shit, man, maybe you don't
maybe
wanna,
skip this one.
Yeah, maybe never mind, man, because you're eventually going to get to a part where he says
Where-
some shit that's really
But
fucked
because
up
also
to
you know what it becomes? If you're the one telling people, hey, check out David Allen Coe, and then somebody else does, and then they're like, hey man,
It's
what's
almost
up
like
with
you
this album?
Right. You almost like you're
Then
signed
you-
off on it. And
You have to answer for
and,
it. then.
and understandable, and that's why I would make sure to put that caveat.
Yeah,
You know, if I were
mean,
to
I
recommend
get
it
that
to somebody, it would
100%.
be to say, listen, I'm going to tell you the full story of David Allen Coe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat his ass.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
If he's not willing to come out and say anything, well, then I'm not going to. Again, he obviously didn't, care. He did it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like we talked about the Chuck Norris thing. Not to get on another tangent or rant.
No,
It's
no.
just to say, look, man, you said these things. Don't be
Yeah.
mad because I brought them up.
Yeah, yeah.
You weren't mad when you said them. You didn't feel that they were controversial when you said them. You believed them when you said them.
Yeah.
So don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
You know, it just, like I said, it just sucks because there are songs that he has written,
Sure.
songs that he has performed that are amazing. Another famous one is the Never Call Me By My Name, which actually he wrote with John Prine.
Yeah.
John Prine took his name off of it, mainly because he thought it was kind of taking the piss out of country music, which it was, and just said, maybe I shouldn't. He didn't want to. I like playing the Ryman, so I'm gonna, But we all know John Prine did take part in it, nonetheless.
Yeah,
But again, shows you the kind of friends he had. I mean, he knew Merle Haggard. He was friends
Sure.
with Johnny Cash. People did love and respect this guy. You
Sure,
know what I mean?
yeah.
But it just, again, that's your legacy, pal.
Yeah.
The newest thing I found, pretty interesting, cool band, called Breather Resistant. The album called Charmer. Post-hardcore. Nothing brand new. Just, I don't know. It was just hitting me, man. Good juxtaposition between the good atmosphere. Kind of reminded me a little bit of, God, now I'm forgetting their name. But, there's some electronic sections in it. They're it feels, they're post-hardcore kids that clearly are influenced by some other stuff.
Okay.
Has for people like yourself, has that Blue production on it.
Okay.
He produced it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool. That was one of the few new ones that I found that I kept listening to. I didn't find a lot of new stuff in the last few weeks. That it's kind of like, once you get to a certain area, it's like, oh, you like post-hardcore? Well, here's every and it's like, oh, not all of it's equal in my.
Did you ever get into Botch?
No, I have tried them. Didn't
Okay.
really, which is a shame because I know they're kind of in that post-hardcore, even the little labels of math rock from
Yeah.
time to time, which I do find myself being kind of pulled into.
Yeah.
The last one I did listen to, we talked about it on the last podcast. I'm not even going to attempt the name. It's that little French band that everybody, French-Canadian band that everybody's talking about. I've said, let me listen to the record. It's good. It's cool. It's, like we said, it's nothing I'm going to go out and buy. I do love the idea that this is not your typical kind of music and that people seem to be very excited about that. Cool. I hope they look more into stuff. The one thing I'll give them is really cool songs, and everything's just got a groove. To have that kind of weird thing, like if you listen to Hella, and I love Hella, but there's not a lot of groove every now and then with Hella. For them to be able to do that stuff but keep a groove, very cool. But yeah, other than that, how about yourself? What have you been listening to?
New band that I found called Ghost Woman.
Okay.
Kind of true widowish vibes.
Oh.
So it's really chill, slowcore type of
I
stuff.
like that.
The album is called Hindsight is 50/50.
Oh.
Great fucking album. It's some songs are instrumental. Some of
Okay.
them have like light vocals kind of mixed in with that reverb delay on them.
Is there a woman in the band? I don't mean to. I know that we're not supposed to care about that, but the idea that it is Ghost Woman.
I don't know.
Okay.
That is
I
great
guess I was asking
question.
mainly vocal wise. I thought with
The
it being
vocals that
called
I heard,
Ghost
I
Woman.
thought were not by a woman.
Okay,
but
just-
I could be wrong. So don't
No.
don't hold me to that.
Yeah, well, if you listen to Hedonist, I don't think you would know.
Yeah,
right away
people
that-
don't know that Hedonist is
That's a female, and she's
Yeah.
fucking murdering it.
but Ghost Woman was
Right on.
awesome.
That sounds good.
Dis Frost, which I love, like my hardcore punk kind of street,
Okay.
crusty type shit. They had an album called Requiem, which is really good.
All right.
And then this one really surprised me. Have you heard of a band called Goat?
I mean, that name sounds familiar.
It sounds like something you'd know, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I was linked to an album called Levitation Sessions.
Okay.
This actually Dan Kaufman from Destroy Judas sent me this, and he said, "Listen to this and then look into the band."
Okay.
So I listened to it, and it sounds fucking amazing. 60s kind of dirty-ish, maybe like that international soul kind of type stuff.
Goat. This is okay.
Goat,
Please.
yeah.
Okay. That sounds really interesting.
Dude, it's firstly the music sounds like it's international, and it sounds more African like type of music.
Okay.
But the people in the band are all from fucking Sweden.
Interesting.
Dude,
okay.
it is such a great album.
Okay.
It's the Levitation Sessions.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it is amazing. I
Goat,
loved
the
it.
Levitation Sessions.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got like fuzzy guitars, like that whole 60s kind of
I
like
gotcha. Like garage rock style?
kind of, but
stonery a little?
not stonery, but like psychedelic.
Okay.
You know, like
okay.
but like that psychedelic, like where it's almost like Italian,
Yeah. Okay,
Mediterranean type of shit.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got some of that in there.
Oh.
It is such a great album.
Okay, I will check that out.
Loved it. I went back and I listened to Genghis Tron,
Oh.
Board Up the House.
Okay.
They're coming out with a new album.
Oh.
I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the new song.
Oh.
So I did go back and listen to the things that I liked, which is their first album, Board Up the House.
Right on.
Yeah, I love that album. It's
Right
such a
on.
great mix of synth, electronic, and like grind, you
Yeah.
know, and whatever death metal type of shit they were doing. Fucking great band at that point.
Right on. I got you. Well, yeah.
You know,
Hey, we've all been there.
yeah,
We've all
yeah,
been there.
Yeah. I didn't listen too much. The next one that I had to make a little bit of room for was At the Gates.
I was assuming, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This Ghost of Future Dead, the last album with Tompa.
And it got released this week, right?
This
Okay,
week, yeah.
okay.
And it for me, it's almost painful to hear because,
Sure.
of course, he was dealing with throat cancer, I believe.
Right.
That's what he passed away of. Ultimately,
Mhm.
you hear the strain in the. I know I said this the last
Yeah,
time.
no, when it was just a song, right?
Yeah, just one song, the Fever Mask. He kind of falls into a weird rhythm in his vocals on this album,
Okay.
and it's a rhythm that I can hear in every song.
Okay.
So it's almost like he follows like a weird cadence, like as he's delivering the lines, and I'm imagining that's the limitation of whatever.
It makes sense.
You
That makes
know?
sense. Under the circumstances.
Yeah, right. So like I do hear the vocal strain a
Mhm.
bit. You know, the voice isn't maybe as full and as raspy as it used to be.
Sure.
He does sound a lot tired. That being said, I think this is a fucking absolute clinic on melodic death
Oh,
metal.
cool. That I
Yeah.
again, I'm not as the fan that you are, but it is the hope that you go like, golly, with all that's attached to this.
Yeah.
I hope they go out with a bang, man.
This is if At the Gates decided we're never gonna do another show because this is it.
Yeah.
What a fucking way to go!
Good.
What a way to go.
I mean, I hate to lose them, especially in this way, but
yeah,
it's nice when if a band especially under these circumstances,
yeah.
can go out on top. That's
There were a couple of his other projects that said like, "That's it, he's gone, and so are we."
sure.
You know,
Understandable.
which makes sense. At the Gates, I know involves other people, and I'm talking about them like this because I think they did decide that they're going to play some
Oh,
shows.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
is a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Although
It's-
maybe it's also will turn into something kind of beautiful when they get to kind of one last as a band, but also celebrate him with the crowd and
But see, looking at this with the same perspective as the Typo Negative thing,
yeah.
and
No,
the Soundgarden thing.
I hear you.
At the
'Cause
Gates-
I do wonder, like, who would replace him?
that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
he has such an
Yeah.
identifiable voice.
No doubt. No doubt.
That I know it's a attainable
Oh.
voice, but
But-
because it's him,
I
right?
listen.
It's like the Max Cavalera.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we know people who bark like that,
Sure.
but
Right.
to have the essence, the spirit of what Max brings to us, whether it's Cavalera, Sepultura, whatever, you
Yes.
know, like that's why we are fans of
100.
that, you know. So that's going to be a little bit tough.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah, you know, but if anything, I have this last album. It's
Yeah.
again, it's a fucking clinic of like, oh, you want to hear melodic death metal? Check this shit out.
Right on.
You know, and it is great composition. Just everyone is on their fucking A game.
I mean, to be this far into their career and still be kicking ass, too.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's something, you know. And they had a lot of time off after Slaughter of the Soul,
Mhm.
and when they came back, I don't think they realized how impactful they were.
Well, yeah, I mean, they got to bury them, most of them burying themselves in The Haunted, and The Haunted was successful.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah,
Kind of a continuation of what they were doing at the Gates anyway,
Yep.
to a degree. So,
Yeah. So, you know, bittersweet, but nonetheless, we have this beautiful album
Right on.
to remember him by, remember At the Gates by. Again, if they ended up calling it quits after this, I would be satisfied. That's a beautiful way to end it. You know, anything else for me, I'm just gonna probably not be a part of it at this point. You know,
understandable.
but yeah. So
Right on. I'm glad to hear that because I did see it come out and I thought, I know Nick's gonna hear this, so I'm.
Oh
I was,
yeah,
I was hoping for the best for
I
you.
already ordered my copy on black vinyl, by the way. Non-record store.
You know
Black
me,
vinyl.
man. I on black vinyl too. So it's like, hey, is that $2 cheaper? That's fine by
I
me.
will say I ordered the. I mean, this was probably because we were forced into it, but that new neurosis.
Yes, that.
With whatever cat's eye.
Yeah, I don't want to get started on that.
Damn, yeah. Anyway.
I love neurosis. By the way, another one that I definitely keep spinning. I imagine you the same.
Yes.
That one
the
gets
new
spin
album
every
is
now and again. It's
goddamn
still
great.
It's still kicking ass, just in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, Neurosis still great. By the way, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's this episode. Let us know what you think about Record Store Day. Again, if you have any good perspectives on it, let us know.
Yeah.
But until then, catch you later.
Later.
Howdy, folks. Thank you so much for spending time with us here at the rehearsal room. If you've got any recommendations you'd like for us to check out, whether it's a band, a movie, or anything else you think we'd be interested in, you can write to us at therehearsalroompod@gmail.com, all one word. We're also over on Instagram or Facebook, or even YouTube. You can also find us on any of the popular platforms for podcasts. And if you happen to know anybody that would be interested in any of the subjects we're talking about, please make sure to refer this show over to them. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to us, and we'll catch you soon.